And one and yay, we am live.
Yay!
Hey, that's weird. The live counter didn't start a minute over like it normally does. It started at 0. Gotta
It's a
wonder if that was a
sign!
glitch. Sign of what? Or a sign of who? Either way, what's going on, guys? It is the Sunday live stream thing we do. Should we just start calling this a podcast? Because it's basically what it is. It's like we're calling it live stream reviewing or whatever. It's like this is just a podcast. We're just not calling it that.
I mean, I always figure podcast is more audio based than video, but
I watch more video-based podcasts. I mean, every video-based podcast puts out the audio version, so it just is what it is. If I wanted to, I could put this all out audio-wise, and people could just listen to us rant about a TV show. Wow, we already got a bunch of people in the
chat. Has Still Untitled, which is video based, right?
Yeah, Still Untitled. This is only a test. The space one they do, I forgot what that was called. Where we talk about new and upcoming space technologies versus sci-fi stuff. So we got Ryan Walters, Plasmarks. Haven't seen Plasmarks in a long time. What's up? Card 995, Ben R. Hi. Jerry, we know Jerry. Jerry, I decided to blame you for last night's problems. Not for any reason in particular, but for some reason, once you left, it was fine. No idea. So guys, if you tried to watch the live stream last night, still have no clue what happened. It was just going nuts. And the funny thing is, I appealed the thing. Like as soon as the live stream was over, I appealed at least to the opening one. And before I got to bed, it was fixed. So I don't know what was going on. Oh, by the way, I'm going to say it now. Don't get ahead of us in your comments. Obviously, we go through this as the episode develops. So if you want to talk about stuff, just wait till we get there. Don't just jump ahead. I see Card 995 already jumping at things. Gold Cat. Wow, we're already at 11 people watching. Adam Knight. That's cool. It's because we talked about that one CD delivery service. Yeah, but that wasn't in the first, 23 minutes. I thought that was weird. But you know what's really strange about last night? It only happened after y'all's audio was fixed. It happened within 9 minutes of the end of the first stream, within the first 2 minutes of the second, and within the first 3 minutes of the third. So I have no idea what was going on. Eric, I see you there. Ryan Walters. Cool. Also, before we get started, I want to say congrats to my friends over at the Gasselcast. They hit 2,000 subscribers. They just did their live stream video. I joined in with them for the last 20 minutes of the stream. So they hit 2,000 subscribers, in part to the guys who actually went over there and did as I instructed yesterday. So I really do appreciate that. And I do suggest going and watch their videos. They're fun. I know most of the time they're talking about pops, but they have other kind of collectibles. They just did a pose off back and forth between Chris and Heather, see who could do the best pose in 5 minutes with a Spider-Man hot toy figure, and it was kind of funny watching them struggle.
I want to see them do something with Gunpla, just because it'd be something tells me it'd be absolutely hilarious to see them try to put one together or something.
Watching newbies try to do it would be interesting. Colby. There you go. He said he just finished the episode. Cool. It's fresh in your mind then. Totally Not Marlon. Would saying something about the ending promo be too far ahead? A little bit.
That's, the ending.
Yes. So that's the end. So let's just not get ahead of ourselves, okay? And we're going to try again. We're going to do pictures again this week. So yay. And apparently a lot of people enjoyed what we did last week with last week's review. So that was good. Quick quick promo. Go subscribe to this one.
Please.
Link is down below. He needs to get to 1,000. There's at least 6,000 of you people out there on my channel. A sixth of you could go help him out. Not even. What do you need? 850? 870?
Where am I at right now?
I need 870 of you to go and subscribe to him if you're not. Just get him to where he can be monetized, please, and then go watch his videos because we do a lot of things. What did you have up on your channel this week?
Let's see. I actually remember this time because I made a point to try to remember it.
It should be top of the notes from now on. Should be top of the notes. What did you
actually
do?
On my personal notes, I did put the what I had on there. So Monday I had the narrative CPAX episode go up, and that one has gone off like gangbusters. I have over 120 views on it. It's my top video right now, and that's crazy because I don't know how or why.
I believe that it have to do with a specific cameo in that video near the end. Apparently one of my cohorts has gone rogue a little bit and is now appearing on other channels. I'm gonna have to talk with him about that, but he seems very busy with his own side project, so I don't know what's going on there. I did notice that I saw on my email that a new profile has suddenly appeared using my email, so that should be interesting. If only I had my Farmville stock puppet accounts. You're talking about if he had extra accounts.
And then Friday I had the first of my Beast Wars backtrack reviews.
Oh, yeah, Waspinator.
Yep, the 10th anniversary version of Waspinator. And this dude over here is the reason I'm doing those, because you were like, you have all these Beast Wars toys, put them on display. You have all these Beast Wars toys, review them.
I just imagine there's like a goat shoki in the corner with a fork, just like unboxing review. I'm just gonna
I actually tossed a couple of boxes today, one of which really hurt. It's the Seacon collect. That Seacon box, I finally got that out.
Whoa, that's impressive. I'm proud of you. I've broken him in such a great way.
And the Waspinator review has been doing okay-ish. It did pretty good on its first day, and it's at like 20 some odd reviews right now, or 20 some odd views right now. Be nice if it'd be doing better. Hint, hint.
I don't know how that works either, because I guess nobody wants to watch things about Cliffjumper. So I had the new Earthrise Cliffjumper review go up on Thursday, and it's got okay views, but not that great. And I believe the Kakashi review went up on Wednesday, I think. Also, not great views. Slightly better than before. But I did share.
I believe I watched both of those. I remember listening to you go through the review on Cliffjumper was hard, because you just did not care for this guy at all.
Spoilers. Well, I did also. Are you talking about the actual review, or are you talking about the out the box review? Because both of those were up on the Patreon, which you guys should go be a part of, like he does.
You know what? Yes, I've watched those, so it's possible that I'm mixing the two up or something like that.
What? Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to say. Yeah, you can say Cliff is dead to most people. At least in two universes, he is, for sure.
The running joke is he keeps on getting killed off in most of his most recent appearances.
Yeah,
I should have known something was up when they said that The Rock was voicing Cliffjumper for Transformers Prime. It's like, oh, cool, they got a big name there. Why?
It wasn't
why are they going to keep that going? Oh, he dies in the first episode.
Spoilers.
For
like 7-year-old series. I remember watching original Beast Wars and then being wary about being in beast form too long as animal instinct takes over. Yeah, that was a great episode. That
was a cool episode.
What was it?
Plus, it featured Tigatron, who was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, Tigatron is great. Dude, I'm having a hard time not pre-ordering that MP Tigatron, because he was one of the few original Beast Wars figures I had. So it's like, I love that character, and he's so awesome. Yeah, I had that one. I had that one back in the day. It's not a great figure, but as a character, Tigatron's awesome. And the MP version does look really nice. I'm not going to lie.
They do some amazing stuff with those Beast Wars MPs. I think the weakest one so far is Black Arachnia, and even that one is still pretty darn cool looking.
That's all just her alt mode is wonky because they have to somehow make a spider.
They cheat so much in the cartoon. It's like,
yeah.
I don't envy the designers on that one.
Well, see, the thing is that the MP line is great, but now that there's a company making the Legends scale Beast Wars stuff, that's kind of where I'm leaning. They already released Black Arachnia, and they just released Rat Trap, and he looks.
Who's doing that?
Transform Element. So they're new-ish, but except for the coloring, Black Arachnia looks almost dead on. Like something about the orange and stuff in the chest is weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just promotional images are wonky, but I'm not entirely certain. But last thing that was up on my channel was the Gym Sniper 1 from Unicorn, which has gone over pretty well, to be totally honest. Though what sucks is because you and I had the conversation about where it came from in the movie or series.
Yeah.
After I had filmed
Sniper.
Zaku, what did I say, Jim?
Sniper.
Yeah, sorry. Zaku 1 Sniper, whatever I said. Either way, so we had that conversation after I had filmed it, and I think after I edited it, so I couldn't add in, like, I would have added in the scene where he tries to kill himself and fails, which is a great scene, but I totally didn't remember any of that. Oh, that's true. It didn't stop Cliffjumper from coming back again and again. Nearly traumatized by toddler-y daughter. Yeah, when he comes back as a zombie, a little bit. A Dark Energon zombie. Arturo J. Briano, hello. Wow, we have 22 people watching already.
Nice.
At the beginning. We're not even started. See, this is why we rant for a while, guys, and we just talk about stuff so that we give time for people to come and join us in our silly little thing. Yay.
Yay.
So let's get started, shall we? Oh, and we are doing a slight different format this week, guys. Things are going to change around here. And we'll see if it works out. If it doesn't, well, we'll go back to the old way.
Oh, wow, the iPad.
It's like
I'm using a tablet to look at the notes, and it's like
extra light. Okay, honestly, I'm here to talk about Rerise. Well, yeah, what else would most of you be here to talk about? But if we have an audience, we're going to talk about everything else we do. Because we are more than just this. Okay, I was hoping it's like I was having problems scrolling. So, new episode 15, Mission, once more. Now, didn't the first episode, like episode 1 or 2, start out Mission? Wasn't that what it was? I think that's what they were referencing with the title. I think the initial Mission was the first episode. I could be wrong. I would check it right now, but my phone's charging. Or trying to, anyways. So we're back in the alleyway where we left off last time, except now we're on the diver's side. So basically, after last week, we're now caught right back up to where we left off at last season. Freddy's calling out to him, and they're all still kind of like, okay, what do we do? And then the mission accept screen pops up, and then Kazumi does the Kazumi thing, and he's like, you know what? Who cares about the little details? And he hits the button. Those little details, like you might be stuck in here forever, or injuries are real, or death could happen. You know, those little details.
Just goes, Leroy Jenkins.
Now I know why you left that off the notes.
Actually, that just popped in my head now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The first episode was Wandering Core. That might have been after that. We are also about to post Capitalist Dystopia, the Furryverse, and Gundam Rerise. Wow. If you die in the game, you die in real life. Yes, we know. That's what happens. Oh, that's not my notes. There's my notes. All right. And then, so they get transported back up into the thing, which is cool. And this time, is it's something you pointed out before, but I can hit screen share now. If I can remember. There's the button.
Go to the pictures.
Go. Yes, to the pictures. So, guys, we actually do get to see the portal from the inside, or as I call it, the Stargate. Because as I equated it this week while we were chatting, this is a Stargate movie, or series now. So this is traveling through the GBN like conduit, so to speak, to the thing. And I wanted to point out
it's very similar to what we saw in like the first. I mean, we see it in the first episode of Rerise. We also effectively saw in the first episode of the original Bill Divers series, if I remember correctly.
Probably.
When Riku is logging in for the first time.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to like diving. Like it's what they see when they're actually diving in for the first time. Jerry says episode 2 was called Unknown Mission. Cool. But either way, so we see this, and what's cool is you see all these little like what look like screens and whatnot. But then you see in front, which looks like a gate of some sort. And that's one reason I keep calling this a Stargate. But then if you go just a little further, you pass through the gate and you see this. So they do pass from GBN servers into whatever this is, you know, the Alice system, so to speak. And you can see it's like far more chaotic. Like it's very similar with the same kind of squares and things off to the side, not to mention everything went purple, but everything is crazy. Even like the more staticky looking ring running through it and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it is like this in the first episode. It was one of the details I noticed when I rewatched the series a couple weeks ago. And I never even thought about it. I think I remember seeing it's like, oh, blue, purple, okay, whatever. I didn't think about it until, you know, we knew that there was more going on here.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. I don't know if she's on a phone with somebody or what. I know she was watching TV before I walked in here. But either way, so yeah, it's really interesting that, you know, now we can see it, and now that we know more about what's going on, it kind of makes sense that they're being filtered through this system and coming in. But also it really does highlight the fact that GBN is somehow connected to this foreign gate, so to speak. But they do arrive back at the temple, and basically it wakes up on Kazumi's face, and, you know, he opens his eyes, and part of me thinks is like, okay, is it because he's the leader, or he's the one who hit the button, or I don't. They focus on him quite a bit in this episode, but I guess everybody sort of gets equal screen time. They kind of look around and they see how everything is just kind of wrecked, and they go to comment on it, and Freddy runs up to greet him and hug him. I forget, does he hug Hiroto? Who he hugs somebody, but I didn't get that.
I don't remember. I just know he was super excited, and it was kind of adorable.
Yeah, it was super. Well, I mean, considering what we saw last week of all the hell they went through kind of after the fact, and just the mental state he was in prior to actually managing to get hold of them again, it's nice to see him happy, especially to see his quote-unquote friends again. And it gets to the point that even this terrible thing happened. Like,
he's smiling.
Like, Hiroto is flat out smiling. So there's something seriously broken about this system now. And then from there, we just roll right into the intro.
Which is still awesome.
Which is still pretty good. He hugged Kazumi first. That's what I thought. Kazumi mentioned something about him being real while he hugged him. Yeah. Oh, probably true. Hero guy. Wow, he forgot Kazumi's name. He's the hero. He's the hero for hire. So we do the intro. Now we had I did want to point this out. I don't remember if I said this out loud last week or if I just said it in chat between you and I. But when you come to right near the end of the intro, you see the planets all like aligning and stuff, and you see all the different colored like swooshes coming away, obviously the armors. And then they all fly into the sun, which is at the other end. And as you pointed out in the notes, it's odd that it's lined up from farther away to the thing.
Yeah, then, so Neptune is the closest to the viewer, as it were, and then it goes all the way back to the sun.
Yep. And then from there, it like flares up, and then we see the new armor fly towards us. Though we say new armor, they're all, at this point, a bunch of them are new. But it was interesting that, you know, it showed it from that point of view. But I guess, in theory, if it was from the sun, it would be less poignant. So that's interesting. Sorry, that's really loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, well, I can hear it. I'm just trying to figure out if she's talking to somebody or the TV got real loud, so I can't tell. Anyways, it's distracting to me because every time I stop talking, it's all I hear. But basically, they go outside after the intro. They walk back outside and see their gunpla kind of glowing and all this sparkliness happening. And
Don't
then
you
they
just hate
notice
it when things buffer?
Yeah, basically it's buffering. But then they also notice that like some of them are not totally there. Like they show the Justice Knight and like I think it's starting like at its feet and like it's not quite all there. And then Freddy just casually mentions, "Oh, this is taking a lot longer this time." Like this is what normally happens, and even to the point that I don't remember who said it, but it's just basically like, wait, this happens every time? Yeah, this is how your gunpla appear. And you even see that you got the Valkylander over there, you got the Justice Knight there, and you got the new core show up. But yeah, it's interesting to see that they always appear like this. We've only ever seen them like kind of in a flash, like when they arrive, but never digitizing, so to speak.
And I remember we would see it, and I never thought about it much because it just looks like the usual effects that for when gunpla materialize in GBN.
Yeah, well, with the exception of it not being like the little like pixels, kind of, it is like a thing. But basically, he's like, and they're like, wait, how does it do that? And it's like, what are they made out of? What is the material that's flowed, that they're being made from? And he's like, oh, that's just the shining sand. It's all around right here. And it's like, what? But I think what he meant to say was retcon. To me, this feels like something they didn't have planned, and they're like, what would be cool? I like the idea that they do materialize from somewhere, but we always assumed that, like, even when they signed out or were kicked out last season, wherever they were, it looked like they just digitized out. But in theory, what we're seeing was the reverse of this. I should have gone back and checked that.
Because does that mean like when they were forcibly logged out, just suddenly like
in theory, or they just kind of stopped? I like this. Is it Plavsky or Minovsky sand? Which one is it? Both. Bandai brand Magic Kinetic sand. Pretty much.
Well, you seem to have an idea about what the sand is.
The sand. We're not talking about the sand. We can talk about the dirt. This just in. Jaburo dirt discovered on foreign planet. 30 light years away. I swear to God, I talked about that last week before we even knew this was a thing. It's just like, wait. It's like, so now there's magical sand that stuff is made out of in this universe, or this chunk of the universe, I should say. So yes, Jaburo dirt is now in the sand. Hashtag there's the dirt. Then you had a but apparently the sand is pretty much located just at the temple, both inside and out, and must be a part of the incarnation system that we discovered last time, if you guys remember the Shoki translations, which, by the way, I did a lot more. If you guys didn't go and check that out on the Discord, I translated every screen that I could, so we learned quite a lot, including something we'll show a little bit later on. But I like the idea that basically whatever comes through the incarnation system uses the sand and gets turned into real matter, much like the divers do. So they're made of the sand too, which they kind of all collectively freak out a little bit about.
And this is kind of how replicators work in Star Trek, at least to my understanding. Like there's actually like the replicators use storage of certain particles or something like that to create the objects, and that's why in Voyager they had to ration replicators and stuff like that, because you only had so many things and you couldn't so much stuff to basically turn into other stuff.
Yeah,
so if you used it all up, suddenly your replicators don't do anything.
Yeah, this is Full Metal Gundam list. So like, well, yeah, you're right. And I made that connection last time when we talked about the incarnation system, that they're over here, they get ported in as data, and then they're getting recreated as a living being here, which is the same way the transporter slash replicator works. But we
Yep.
didn't know that there was literally a medium for it. And now we know it's this shining sand. So the divers are all now Wonder Woman. That's a nice deep cut there, except Zeus didn't rub his junk on these. Jerry says the village has AT&T, so they throttled their bit rate back because they're in a disaster, so the Gundam didn't load properly. That's funny. Yeah, Arturo, yeah, he's expecting May to react somewhere, but for May, everything is reality. There's no different reality. Everything is different to her in the first place. So she, except for GBN, everything is the same. But the fact that, here's what I find crazy. So they've become basically a living organism here.
Yes.
Even to the point that they can bleed, which is probably not something they could do in regular GBN. But
because it seemed very unusual, because I don't remember anybody bleeding or anything like that in
yeah,
the first original series, and things got pretty intense towards the end over there.
Yeah, and it could get a little roughed up or something, but they also had like infinite stamina, stuff like that. They never got tired, things like that. So we know with the updates, some things changed, but the point is like, okay, if you got to the point that you have become a real living new body being on another planet, at some point, due to the way they're diving, they didn't even notice that they were really breathing or that they have a real heartbeat. Like, so this is where I think like, okay, so we know that it must be a little deeper than it used to be. You know, it's like the old diving system was more like a a VR game, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you weren't that plugged in. But now that you can smell things, there's got to be some kind of sense of touch, things like that. So they've really upped the real brain interface. But to the point that now that they are remotely controlling a fake new body across the galaxy is a little ridiculous. Blood and GBN is DLC. That's funny. It hasn't been established if they feel different or not. See, that's the thing. They didn't notice a difference.
Yeah, they just thought that they were roaming around in the game until basically the last few episodes of the season 1, yeah. and then when it hit them that, oh crap, this is real, that they all had like existential crisis about it.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the funny thing. So Jerry just said, what's the last time you realized you were breathing? I kind of think about it often, because I used to have a thing where I kind of would just stop breathing for a while until I thought about it. And then I would take a deep breath, you know, just realizing, oh, I haven't taken a breath in like a minute. Like maybe I should breathe in. Kind of like that right now. But one thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was really interesting, and may or may not tie into this. So if you guys are familiar with the concept of the golem, in like Jewish mythology, it's a clay creature or man sculpted and then given a magical scroll, so to speak, to come to life to protect, in this case, the Jewish people. So they're literally people and weapons made of sand with the explicit creation to protect. Thought that was an interesting potential thing. Yiddish magic. There you go. Maybe the game's just that good. Maybe. Well, see, that's what you got to wonder. Is like, because we know that the dive experience was changed in the update, but for them to go to the point, we got. Oh, I forgot my point. Smelling. So they talked about the fact they could smell things, right?
Yeah, but weren't they able to smell things in the original season?
No, this was
because I remember them always eating food and tasting stuff.
Well, they were eating food, but they said it didn't matter. It wasn't anything real. It was more like interacting with the food. But my point is, when they brought up the idea of smell is also a thing you would have to breathe in to smell something. It's like, so to them, they don't even think about the fact that they're breathing, because technically you do that when you smell things in GBN. So it's so plugged into their brains that they're a real living creature and they don't even notice it. So I kept wanting to say AGN. GBN is so good that they don't even realize that they've become real bodies, except for when they actually get pain and damage and stuff. But either way, that was just something I wanted to bring up there. You had a. Let's see here. I scrolled down a little too far. As where I don't think it. But I thought it was interesting because Freddie just thought that they knew that they were made of sand. They're like, we're made of sand. It's like, yeah, you didn't realize that. And it's like, how would we know? We show up, we're here, we have a body. It's not like one of us pops in, the next one pops in, stuff like that. But you think that, especially with two particular people there, with how coarse they are and how they just keep getting into everything, that they would have noticed that they were made of sand. What? No love on that? You made the joke first.
This is true.
Because you watched the episode before me this once. Sand particles make more sense now. Like iron golems in Minecraft. Sure. Oh, yeah, that's true, because you make an iron golem and then give him a name tag when they protect your property. True. Cosme mentions Freddy's smell when he was in his cockpit. Also, they could taste the drinks the villagers serve. Yeah, it's like, think about the advanced programming to program in taste of something. That was in the Matrix. How do you know what something tastes like? How do you express that? You know?
Everything could taste like tasty wheat.
Exactly. Tasty wheat. Yep.
That scene stood out of me for some reason.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that May even said the thing like, so the sand reflects the transferred data, which is basically what I said about the transporter thing before.
Yeah. I thought her reaction to this was really just interesting from the aspect of what her character is, and that she isn't fazed by this at all.
Mm-mm.
Like I have written down in the notes, like this is just another Tuesday for her.
Yeah.
She is data that gets punted around from world to world, basically. So it doesn't matter if she's, floating around as electrons in one place. The ramifications of having Par having.
So
oh wow,
Par doesn't realize he's using real legs. Well, we also don't know if he's paralyzed or like they never said he's paralyzed, just that he can't walk. That could be any number of things,
Did they even did we just know that he was in a wheelchair? I don't know if they even really addressed.
No, he's just in a super expensive wheelchair. We don't know why. Rewrites Phantom Pain. Yeah, kind of. If we want to go there. But yeah, that's the interesting ramifications of Par can actually walk around now. Now, mind you, he also has a tail, so what does that feel like? Yeah, how do you program in? I think we talked about this in the first season. How do you program in the feeling of having a tail? I know Mika was excited when he's like, "Oh, what?" It's like
I was about to say, ask Mika.
He now knows what having a tail feels like. Yeah, just having an extra appendage. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. They also talk about the idea that they're all made of sand, kind of like all life and matter is technically made of stardust if you go back far enough.
Yeah, we're all just particles held together on a limited time span.
Yeah, if you go that way, but realistically,
like May's all calm and cool about this. Cosme's having a freaking existential crisis.
Yep.
All we are is dust in the wind.
Exactly. Wheelchair that can climb stairs, mind you. Hey, they've had those for a long time. All we are is dust in the wind in this case, or dust in Wyndham.
That's later. You're getting ahead of yourself.
I'm just saying. Par points out the fact that the core Gundam looks new as it finally fully forms with its new thorax. Like, seriously, dude, you kind of put a huge ass on that thing.
He likes big tails and he cannot lie.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Par in that matter. Do you think it's uncomfortable
also makes me think of when you called it a thorax, it makes me think of Inferno from Beast Wars.
Yeah, it does. I mean, look at it. Paint it red.
Out, but he's buried.
I mean, paint it red, give him a big gun that shoots flames, and you have an Inferno. But yeah, it is basically like a huge thorax, like very super insectoid. But like, I mean, I guess he wasn't really running around that much in the core Gundams, usually riding on something. But I like the fact that obviously we're spoiled now. We know that it can fly. It has a flight mode because they give that away in the intro. But it have to go somewhere, right? So I guess he just made it a big ass. But it's going to be hard to get through doors with those wings like sticking out like that. So I guess they have to just keep it outside for now. For the royalty.
Yes.
Yes, my queen. Core Gundam is thick.
Inferno was such a fun character in Beast Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Eldora people. Oh yeah, so they're still hung up or slightly hung up on the fact that once he logs out, Par can't walk anymore. But that's nothing new to him. You know, he also can't fly. So what do you do about that? If they can make tiny mobile doll bodies that move, why can't they design a device to help Par walk IRL? Because it's two completely different functions. Doll. It's a tiny little plastic robot that's motivated by a weird chip on it. That's not a human being.
Because if they could have made something larger, like human size, they probably would have by this point. And May would have had a full-size body instead of a mobile doll body.
Yeah, we talked about this before. Frankly, the cost of it would be too much. That's why they don't do it. Like, I mean, if you have a mannequin that can animate that way, fine. But trying to develop a real, like, humanoid creature and stuff like that. Also, we discussed the idea that how does her face express anything or look like a real face? So that's got to be some type of holographic tech in and of its own self. So there's something there. But the fact she wears real clothes is also weird, like doll clothes. But back to what we were looking at. So after looking at the new Core Gundam, they realized, oh, hey, something is going wrong because, as we learned in the last teaser, their gunpla are falling apart. You know, more specifically, they see that the Valkylander and the Justice Knight are just falling apart, with the exception of the head and the tail of the Valkylander and the shield of the Justice Knight. And then the Wodon pod actually disintegrates around the May doll, which I guess is handy for her. Though it's weird.
I imagine that would have been trouble. That probably would have been troubling for May to suddenly see her gunpla disappear, considering that's like her body in a way.
Yeah, see, that's the way I look at it. So in this case, she doesn't. Obviously, we see that she pilots the May doll / Wodon pod. Mm-hmm. So it's not her body, so to speak. But that's the really weird thing about Eldivers. So in this case, she's using a real body to pilot a really big version of her actual body in Eldora. And it's really freaking weird.
Don't think about it too much. You'll turn your brain inside out.
No, it's a little bit weird. But also, so the shield drops to the ground, the head and the sword drop to the ground.
I love when when his shield hits the ground, it makes that clang sound, and then it just rolls off the platform.
Yeah, because the Valkylander head
stuff kind of lands cool, and like you got the sword going into the ground and stuff. But no, his just goes. If it weren't for the uneven terrain, it probably would have done that wobble thing where it spins around till it falls on the ground.
Probably a much harder sound effect. Well, also it's not perfectly round, so because it has the thing at the end of it, so it can only roll so far. Yeah, it's very convenient for Hiruto and May. Well, yeah, they have plot armor, but also the smaller of the four. Obviously, the Core Gundam is the smallest thing, and then, well, the May doll. Once again, actually, what's funny here is we know that it spawns, quote unquote, separately. So
because we do see he had one of the flyers with him I'm assuming it's the Uraven armor.
I don't know. I didn't see
it's
Hiruto
the first
with
armor for the core 2.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I guess he was logging in with it, but I don't remember seeing it.
You see like something appearing just next to him, and then when everybody falls apart, his just it doesn't even, you don't even like fully see his shape. It just sort of.
Yeah, that makes sense. It obviously would have. But also, how does that work if they don't have enough pads for them to come up on? Or I guess they come up on the same pad, even though it's two different things.
I think Core and Earth 3 would usually show up on the same pad.
Also, wouldn't it be more convenient for him to log in with the armor already on? I mean, he did that last season when he went in with 2 armors. So he had one on and then was riding the other. So he can do that. He can bring them both in. So I don't know. It's something. But yeah, like you said, the clang of the shield, they got really good sound effects for this one. And then the fact that Kazumi and Par both freak out like hardcore about their gunpla not arriving.
They drop to their knees and they're like, no, Justice Knight, Morgiana.
It's so sad. They just basically don't have enough sand. That's really what it came down to. So they got so far into the print and then they just burned it. It was like, oh no, we can't give you a partially thing. So that's a good thing to know, that if there's not enough material, the whole thing won't come in. Because imagine if it wasn't the gunpla, but them, you know?
Oh, no.
Like, and obviously it starts at the feet. So imagine 3/4 of Kazumi coming in, it runs out of sand and just stops right there, and he just pops up, blood spurting out the top, no head. And and then the rest of them.
Yeah, because it's not going to be like an Onward. It's because we know that they bleed.
I still haven't seen that yet.
It was good. That was one. I think. We saw that as a family just before like everything collapsed, basically.
We don't talk about that, Hida. That is something you don't bring up. It's an unspoken rule. You can't do that.
Zordon specifically says, do not escalate a battle unless you can avoid it.
Yeah, but what about post-Zordon era?
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Being dropped into a war zone without your main weapons, sure. But it was the emotional attachment they were worried about, not like, oh, crap. Well, see, that's the convenient part, is that they left most of their weapons behind. Or at least shield and swords. And whatever the head of the Valkylander technically does. Which doesn't seem to be much. It's just there for, like, oh, we can recognize that part. So I guess at this point, time to go to the village.
Yeah, not before we get a quick look at the Vok death cannon. I mean, the satellite cannon.
Looks surprisingly similar. Except for the fact that the Vok death cannon was a floaty thing out in front. Like,
well, and it was
an inverted torus.
Like turned it inside out.
It was an inverted torus, yeah.
Well, there's similar thing, but it's half of the moon.
Yeah, literally. Maybe even 3/4 of the moon. Who knows? But yeah, so they're heading back. They're flying over in their gunpla. They're left over, and it's the first time we get to see Moran ever since like he handed off the Darkhawk amulet that I can recall. And he's heading off, driving in the truck somehow that's still around, to an unknown location, at least for now. And he sees them flying overhead, and then casually like rolls his window down to go, oh, they're back. And then you had an interesting observation. However, I didn't get a screenshot for it.
Their vehicles look like dogs. I don't know how I haven't noticed that until this episode, but their vehicles look like dogs, complete with like ears and noses and stuff.
Yeah, the mirrors totally look like ears. They're little arrows. They have a ridge out front.
Emblem in the front that's like a little nose.
And all of them, the front hood comes to like a nose.
Yeah.
Really prominent like things. Like, really? Like, really? They make their cars look like people? Imagine if we had people-shaped cars. Because we were that full of ourselves. But the thing is, here's the thing though. They didn't make the vehicles. They found the vehicles. So somebody else made dog-looking cars and left them behind.
The puppy mobiles.
Yes. We're not calling it that. To the dogmobile. Much better. The muttmobile.
Muttmobiles.
Well, to be fair, they're not all dogs. Some of them are cats. Like, clearly, Maya is a cat. Muran is a cat. They're not dogs. Lion-O, ironically, was a dog. Actually, no, he's more like a cat. I think we've been misjudging these people. I don't think they're dogs at all. Oh, except for Stola. Stola's definitely a wolf.
Freddy is totally a puppy person.
No, I don't know. He's got a big fluffy tail like Jed did, but Maya, who's a sister, has a little skinny cat tail. We don't understand how things work on this planet. Like Pixar cars. We're not talking about those. There's already a problem with Pixar cars, and I'm not going into it right now. Anyway, so they get back to the village where we get back to the village. They're not there yet. Maya has just come back from trading or grocery shopping.
It totally looks like she came back from the grocery store. It's like she's even holding plastic bags, which that can't be right.
No, they're definitely not plastic bags. They're probably some type of canvas at best. But I like the fact they talk about, like, look, we just traded off some stuff with other villages. So whatever's remaining of villages after this massive disaster, they're still trying to maintain trade. And with Segri gone, which was a major hub for commerce for them, probably a little bit harder, a little bit more tasking, along with the fact that probably a lot of people's crops were wiped out, or at least you have to start over. So she goes off on this big, long list. The kids come and surround her. They wanted to know what she brought back. And she goes on this big, long list about whatever type of flour and different things, and then even some regular old sugar. No special name for that. So sugar exists on this planet. And the kids are like, hey, sugar, can you make us some sweets? And then being the logical parent type, she's like, well, if there's enough left over after everybody gets what they need, we could talk about that. And that kind of hit home given the current situation of the world.
Yeah.
Not to be a big downer here, but like really, it's like if there's enough left over after everyone else is taken care of, then we can spoil ourselves. And that's just, I know this was written God knows when, but considering it's a return from a grocery store, getting only what they could, given the disaster that's befallen them, and then making sure everyone's taken care of first before going on to extra shit they don't need. Very, very important there, I think. Where do puppy people get fabrics and other stuff? Probably, you know what they do? They probably harvest their own sheddings and turn it into string to make into clothing.
You joke, but that it's possible to make fabric from like cat hair and dog hair, I think.
Oh, it is, but it's also totally, to the fact that things like hemp exist and you can make clothing and all kinds of other things and fibers and textiles from
it's possible that they have like
probably what they do.
They probably have cotton or something like that.
Yeah, but you can't show people picking cotton. You're just not allowed. Not in this day and age. We do see rice paddies later, which is interesting. It's like when the world ends and HEB closes, so you have to go to Walmart and you feel dirty about not supporting Texas. Wow. Oh, God, what if they make it from their own hair? They're wearing their own hair as clothes. Hold on. Do we need to make this another news briefing?
What's funny is
I think we could.
Maya, the hair on her head, I think, is a similar color to parts of her dress.
Yeah. Stares at home made of donuts. That's funny. Does Alice use the same magic sand to make his gunpla? We're not going there just yet, Ryan, but yes would be the answer. I need a Freddy backpack. No. And hemp is more PC than cotton. That's true. But yeah, the fact that cotton, we think of cotton as a natural fiber, but we never consider the fact it's a plant, not animal fur. So, I mean, most of what you wear is either made of plastic of some sort or made of a plant. Like almost nobody wears anything made from a real animal fiber. Also, we haven't discussed the fact that there probably are other types of animals on this planet, and they probably look like humans. We also haven't seen them eat meat.
Have we seen them eat meat?
I don't think so. I think mostly like soups and plants for sure.
We know they have sharp teeth.
Well, they definitely have eaten shapeless blob number 3. For sure. They've eaten shapeless blob number 3. And round thing on stick, more than likely. But that could be anything. But yeah, they mentioned nothing about meat products. So that's weird. They're definitely a carnivore species, but doesn't seem to be any kind of prey species. Now Carlos wants a Freddy backpack too. Shush, all of you. But either way, they see the gunpla fly overhead. Actually, I believe they hear it first, and then they see them fly just past in front of the sun for cool effect. And then they go to land. And the kids go running off, and Maya just left standing there. And then our heroes land and overlook what's left of the village and the damage. Also, where did they get all the fibers for making tents? People worried about clothes. They have tents everywhere.
I'm betting the tents are supplies from the Resistance.
More than likely, whatever's left of them, mind you. But like, they, what are they made out of? Canvas? Are they made of creator material?
People.
Tents are made of heroes. Jurek does look like a badger. You're right about that, Carlos. So Jurek is also a badger, which is also an omnivore. So it is what it is. But he does only grow normal crops. The little chubby one looks like Pooh Bear. Oh, you mean the? Never mind. I'm not going to say that out loud. I'll probably get canceled in China. Oh, sorry, I just got hiccups. But they're because they didn't really get to see the damage last time because they kind of crash landed with their gunpla and barely got back, and it was raining at the time. But the kids run up to them. They mess with Par and Kazumi real quick because they're like their favorites, especially Par. They love playing with Par's tail. Which so they have people with fluffy tails. They obsess about his. And
that's
so they look
other people. This is this is Par's fluffy tail.
I've touched those tails. It's so rich. Anyway, God, imagine if Shariar actually went there. They would lose their minds. He's so pretty. But they look over and they ask, "Why isn't the sacred beast with you?" Because, well, we already know. And Kazumi's like, "What? You're not going to ask about my jump this night?" It's just like, no. And then the little girl, I don't remember her name. I can't remember any of the little kids' names, if they've even said all of them. But she goes over and greets Hiruto and May by grabbing both of their hands and like looking up at him like, and it's just like, wow, we just had a hardcore shipping moment. Like,
it's adorable too.
If they weren't already trying to allude to something in the intro, and then they do this, and yeah, it is really cute, and it's something little kids would definitely do, but like neither of them has been close to the kids like Kazumi or Par have been, but she's just like, our heroes have come back, you know, our other weird looking non-animal faced people. The puppy people suddenly get an army of petite guys with dog faces. I could see it. Like, Asha, thank you. I know something like that. He has smooth skin with a fluffy tail. It's unheard of. Asha, Toana, and Hulun. I knew Hulun was one of them. I just couldn't remember which one. Or Hulun. And then while he's messing with the kids, of course, Maya walks up, uttering the words that Kazumi always wants to hear.
Nope, moving on. Move it. Damn it.
Oh no, it's stuck on screen. I don't know what happened. Totally not sorry. Anyways, I'm just jumping ahead.
Way ahead.
I don't care. You wanted it off the screen. Either way. So they get to the village, and Kazumi's always getting shafted. Oh god. To get back to the village, and they're having a town meeting. The elder, which also don't remember his name anyways, is talking to everyone. And he mentioned that they still haven't quite recovered from when the lightning from the moon happened. And Kazumi, being the dumbass that he always is, he looks over, he goes, does he mean the satellite weapon? No, there was a wholly other thing that happened while you weren't looking. God, he's such a fucktard. Kazumi could get a tail. Oh god. It's like, I like the idea that, like, okay, so what else would you call a giant beam of light that just came from the moon when you don't have another word for a giant beam of light that comes from the sky? You know, you would call it lightning, you know? And all these people know is that suddenly the moon broke apart and lightning came down to kill them. You know, they're still a fairly simple people. The Resistance, they know a bit more. They've been exposed to a bit more, especially as we find out later in this episode. But like for these villagers in the middle of nowhere, yeah, the sky just attacked them with some lightning from the moon. Doom shine. That's what we call it.
Doom shine. I like that.
Oh, I like this. Hold on. This is a good thing. I like this. That's actually good. That's actually kind of nice, not gonna lie. Wow, it is a lot like Avatar, isn't it? Imagine if somehow their Eldoran selves can get back to Earth and see their own real bodies. Either way. So Hiruto laments that they couldn't actually stop the attack from happening. I think they tried to say something about that last time before they got kicked out. But I like, you know, the elder even says, like, he's thinking that, look, we let you down so much that you're not going to welcome us back. But the elder's like, look, you guys are still our only hope. You know, will you stick with us? You know, and then old Jurek says that, look, we only survived because of you. And we see the flashback of this. And so, like, they're watching the beam come down and hit, and then here comes the blast wave. He grabs Maya by the arm, and she already has the kids, and whoever the heck these other two people are. They hide behind the Earth-3 shield for protection, and that protects them from the blast wave, which I guess not everyone was that lucky. They just happened to be near the fields at the time.
Yeah. I thought this was really cool because it was a nice explanation as to how they survived, or at least came out of it unscathed.
Yeah, and to the fact that, you know, last season we recognized, or well, we were shown that the shield is still there from that first ever battle, and it's stuck like in the middle of his fields, and he just left it there. Like, you know, he was really not happy with them when they first showed up, but then like the more time that's gone by and everything like that, and the fact that I think it was kind of the shield itself that stopped that one little sprout from getting destroyed, if I remember correctly, from their
Something
first
like
battle.
that.
So I think in a way that's just kind of a callback.
And something that I seem to remember in the last episode of last season, when they're like when they're showing the field and you see the shield standing there, I want to say you see like some stones stacked up in front of it as if it was some sort of like altar or something like that.
Yeah, maybe, because he even called it their sacred vessel.
Yeah,
protected them. So even to him, it's still a sacred thing, even though now we know it's just made of dust. But apparently, some really strong ass dust. And yeah, the fact that they don't resent them so far, but the fact that if anybody who was there whenever they had to teleport away should have realized they weren't in charge of it happening. But also, we've never seen them log out before. We never known where they log out, if they go back to the temple. If they just log out wherever they are and their shit just drops right there, it kind of hurts the idea that the sand needs to stay near the temple. Because we talked about it last season. Do they always come in at the temple? Now it's kind of confirmed that they have to. So The question is, did they always leave out of the temple? Or did they always park back on their little pads so that the sand stayed there, but they never knew why? And so the shield not being returned to the temple is why it never disintegrated. So they would have had to always go in and out of the temple regardless of where they went, except for this last time. But to me, that would also mean that whatever was left of their gunpla should still be where it broke down, if it broke down at all, from the previous battle.
Well, I think the idea that they also talked about in this episode is that the blast wave must have blown away a lot of the sand.
Well, from the temple, yes, but I'm talking about specifically where their remaining gunpla crash landed at the end of last season, and they had to leave them there. They didn't log out the normal way, so they were.
Oh, that's right, because their gunpla crashed and then they walked back.
Yeah, because they had no more
I guess
energy.
I always just assumed, because we know that from the original series that they could just make their gunpla disappear and then reappear wherever they want, and I guess I just assumed.
Yeah, prior to this, that was the assumption. Yeah, so we had that assumption up until now, because now we know that it's a real thing that is being made of an actual material that is not finite. I'm sorry, that is finite. My bad. So are the remnants of their like nearly destroyed gunpla still out in the middle of wherever they crashed? It'd be interesting to find that out, because their bodies obviously disappeared.
Now, are they climbing into their gunpla, or because they've always shown that the way they got into their gunpla was just the previous series?
Yeah,
they just bring up a menu and go board gunpla, and then they.
I think in this case, it's tied in enough that it's like a transportation system into the gunpla.
Must be
like it's built in, because they're still accessing GBN's system while on Eldora, so there's still some crossover that way. So I think it is like a teleporter, but we haven't seen them actually physically get in or out of them. We've just seen them fly around on them.
It could be one of those things that we shouldn't think about it too much.
Actually, that's a fair point.
That the Nemesis core is the old core Gundams. Oh,
that actually would make a lot more sense. That he scavenged it. But we also know
that also explains why it's the Earth 3 armor.
But he was in a Jupitive armor. But even then, it was just the core Gundam. There was nothing left. But we already know he can scan things, and odds are that's what happened. But we'll find that out more later. 23 people watching. Either way, nice.
Nice.
Okay, so but Hiruto basically responds after they thank them for that. With a pretty simple, is that so? Like he was feeling bad. Like he legit felt bad that this happened. One, that they couldn't stop it. Two, that all this damage happened. But now he finds out that even while not being there, he managed to protect people. And I think that kind of hits him a little bit. But then there's somebody, I don't know who, wanted to point out the thing that's behind him on the wall.
So that tapestry behind him, I think, is really interesting, because if you guys remember in the book that we looked at last episode, they have something that looks like it's Eldora and the orbital structure of the moon or moons. We see like 2 or 3 rings around it in the book. And then we have, I keep on pointing at the screen like they can see me pointing. We got the circle with a ring, and then another ring that's made up of dashes, which could represent the shattered. I'd like to think that it's the remains of a shattered moon, and then even beyond that, it looks like there's another ring, and it's really interesting to me, and you don't see it anywhere else in this episode.
No, you see a lot of other round objects on the walls. It's almost like the TARDIS, the round things. But I also want to point out the fact that it looks like an eye. It looks a lot like an eye that we've seen before, especially with the lines and stuff coming out around the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But what we can't see is what's going on there at the center, which looks like it's probably a diamond shape.
Considering that the other tapestries have combinations of circles and squares with basically X's in them.
Yeah. It sounded like you just stopped your thought. Like you were mid thought and you just like.
Well, I was wondering if isn't there a Eldoran letter that is like a square with an X in it or something like that, or maybe with one or two sides missing?
No. It's like, but I think you're trying to think of one. There is a letter that looks like a bow tie, sort of, but there's nothing that's a full on square.
Okay. The bow tie one is what I must be thinking of.
Yeah, bow tie is H.
Okay.
No, bow tie is it H? Yeah, I think it's H. Now I got to think, which is funny because when I have a screen later on that like I was like, oh hey, I can kind of read that now. I studied it enough. I really hope we see more of the language so that I can translate more things. I had a lot of fun doing that.
That's so cool. I was a little sad that there wasn't more stuff in this episode.
Yeah, but I'm assuming we'll see something next week, given the things. Did Hiruto's nose render wrong, or did he pull a Voldemort? And his nose just doesn't exist.
It's just anime art style.
It's just the way it is.
Don't draw noses unless you can avoid it.
Exactly. Don't draw feet or hands either. Okay. And then the meeting gets interrupted by kids shouting from the outside, like, "Who are you? Stay away."
Things are getting too serious, too heavy. Yeah. It's time for some slapstick.
Yeah. So I guess they left the little kids outside as guards. Like all the rest of the adults are inside here, all the village leaders and everything. The kids are guarding the outside. The door bursts open and it's Moran. He comes like tumbling in with all three kids attached to him. One way or another, they're like holding onto his arm, like his leg, his tail, and they're all biting him. It was like, it kind of gets to the point that we've known about Moran, but we didn't even consider the fact he's not from here. He's not from this village. You know, he was from the Resistance, and however Jed met him via the Resistance. So he even mentions, so this is Jed's home village.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think he says like, I don't know what I thought I expected or something, but he's like, look, I'm not a bad guy. Stop attacking me. But the fact nobody recognized him and he shows up unannounced. And I guess he just went, it looks like there's a lot of people in that building. Like, how else would he know, you know? Carlos, Jed cries. Yes. We had our crying Jed moment last season, or last episode, I should say. But basically, like, they let him go, and then he looks over at him, and it's like, I guess they kind of hate me.
Yeah, they're all having tea, and he looks over, and they're still glaring. I think they're even growling a little bit at him.
I think so. But part of me wonders, assuming he finally introduced himself, like, hey, this is me. Obviously, everybody else, the divers know who he is. Presumably, maybe the Elder does. But I gotta wonder if there's a little bit of level of blame, considering that he may have been like somebody who brought Jed into the Resistance, and now we know what happened. So maybe that's why they're kind of reticent towards him. Not to mention he's a stranger. But hell, they go to other villages to trade all the time. It's not like he looked like a foreign guy. Just some dude shows up, you know, wants to talk to them, and especially barging in on a meeting with the build divers. That info alone expands the world of Eldora quite a bit. They have different villages, different countries. Well, we know they have different villages because they've talked about them, especially last episode that we heard about the villages that were wiped out by one-eye attacks, and they're like kind of resetting and they're moving to different places. You know, refugees were going to, a lot of people whose villages were destroyed went to Sigri. So yeah, that's funny. With the Resistance unresisting, it falls to the young Padawans. Kind of true. But he says that he was kind of still distrusting of the divers, I guess because they just sort of disappeared and then everything exploded after he trusted them with the most precious key to the victory. Remember, it was the key to victory, all right? And now they find out that the whole Resistance is pretty much wiped out.
Gone.
Gone. Virtually everyone, I think, actually is further down there. But May specifically mentions that, Masaki Shido, I forgot exactly what she says, but she mentions him. And she's like, we're not him, and then his tone really changes. He's like, oh, so you know about him. And Hiroto says, like, look, we fought him and his Seltsam several times. Last time we saw him was in space before this happened. And Moran's like, yeah, the key that I gave you was originally meant for him. But instead of using it, he ended up becoming an enemy waiting at the gate for them. And so he's still thinking that he's been betrayed by them. And then Hiroto basically says, look, I'm sorry that things ended up this way. You trusted us and this happened. And then he's like, well, basically, look, I gave you that key. It wouldn't have mattered who the key got to. The result would have ended up the same. So it's like, if he gave it to Shido, he would have gone there. He would have gone to the Silver Tower, ended up meeting Alice, and then things probably still would have gone this way. But frankly, if we're going to be honest here, I'm going to do the thing real quick. If we're being honest here, everything was Kazumi's fault.
Yeah. He didn't know when to shut his damn mouth.
He kept talking about the resistance, which Alice is like, resistance? He's like, yeah, everybody's met up at Siguri. We're gonna come and kick your ass. And he's like, oh, huh? How about Magic Ball? What? And so that was all Kazumi's fault. Didn't matter who went as long as Kazumi didn't, because I doubt if Shido had gone, there would have been much resistance. They're getting near to extinction. Maybe. I mean, they lost thousands. We don't even know. We don't even know how big this continent is. The fact that, we've only seen one village. There's so many other villages. There's cities, towns that we don't even know about. And there's different types of people. Like, Moran looks kind of like an Egyptian cat, sort of. And then you've got, what's his face, who looks like a gray wolf, Stola. So Stola looks like a gray wolf.
A lot of people. Stola came from a different village, right?
And he came from a different village. A lot of people did that they've mentioned. You've got the idiots. One of them looks like a bulldog, and then you've got people who look kind of like a fox, who look more like a cat. So while they are all like furries, as we originally called them, they're not all dogs. So, different continents, different countries, different parts of the world that are all now being kind of brought together due to the One Eye attacks. So it might have been different if Freddy wasn't with them. That's true. We talked about that before. But then again, who knows? I guess I scrolled up by accident. But oh yeah, because I said Alice didn't know the resistance was a Segri, so that's right. But he tells him most of the resistance was a Segri that day, but only the injured and maybe some reserve people. Because we saw that I forgot, Goros, I believe his name was, the one eye patch guy who was at the Silver Tower. Odds are any of the forces that were him survived, assuming they survived the shock blast. But we haven't seen them yet. And given how far away the Silver Tower was, without gunpla to get them there, and maybe without vehicles, they might have been stuck there. So your note was kind of funny.
We had all our command staff and soldiers in one area. Who could have realized it was a bad idea? Because really, that's what he's saying, is that basically they had all the resistance leaders were at Seguri. All of their army was at Seguri except for the injured people.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Eldora is Third Earth. I'm pretty sure it was 100% Kazumi's fault. Yeah, this entire thing. Actually, they probably, well, who knows? We'll never see the backstory, because obviously the One Eyes have been around for a while. We can't say that they specifically came about when Shido did. but who knows? But as to your kind of your comment there, though, who were like, this would have been a bad idea, but we already knew that they were gathering because they were ready for like a big offensive. They were bringing all their forces together to basically just go at it with everything they had, but they put all their faith in the build divers to decide the battle for them without having to sacrifice the thousands of soldiers. Nobody knew that was going to be the option there. And then he talks about the fact that oops, I'm clicking on way too many different screens. I'm going to have to figure out a better way to do this so I don't have so many screens. Talks about the fact that One Eyes are becoming more active. We heard that they were attacking to the south, I believe, last episode. And this episode I talk about the north, but who cares what directions are? Actually, I just noticed that the Daughters is actually in this shot too. So.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So basically, with no resistance, they're just doing whatever it is they want to do. So we have our Earth Prime Earth, and the Thundercats are on Third Earth. That just means the Lord of the Ring franchise exists between the two, since it's on Middle Earth. Yes. It's Middle Earth. No, Middle Earth was just a continent, not a planet. We're not talking about that. Oh, I did want to point out, I did not get a screenshot for this, but I mentioned it to you, that they show Moran sitting on the rug. And if you notice, like, the squares and everything on the rug are kind of similar to the corridor of light that they bring to there. So it does seem like a lot of the symbols that are used when it comes to the portal between GBN and here also seem to be on a lot of their textiles, like you were kind of pointing out earlier. So maybe there's something there. But they kind of see it all as religion as well.
Yeah.
So, like, while Freddy's book that he was reading before seemed to be like more of a manual or a lot like a science textbook almost, to them it's probably closer to like a religious book.
Yeah, like
telling about the history.
Maybe not something as major as a Bible or something, but yeah, important religious text thereof.
Okay, I missed something up there. It got weird in the comments all of a sudden. I missed something. But anyway, he asks if the divers will help them again, and of course Freddy chimes in, yeah, of course they will.
They're totally willing to throw their lives away for us.
Well, it's true, we already knew that, but they also said that it's like, well, it's their mission, that's why we're going to do it. Now, had they known this information before going up the Silver Tower, I bet they wouldn't have done it. They're like, but then they say, look, okay, we're definitely going to help you, but we want to learn more about Eldora. We want to know about this place. He's like, okay, I'll tell you everything you need. And I think that's only fair, because now they know this is real. They're on another planet. These people are real. So there's a lot going on. And we do get quite a bit of history of the planet in just these last couple episodes, really. So this is going to be world building this season.
Which is something I'm excited for.
Yeah, me too. Like, last season was more plot based. This is world building based, and then we're going to dive deeper. So they decide that basically, look, the only way we're going to solve this is to get back to space. Get back up there and deal with Alice.
Space is the place.
Space is the place. And it's like, yeah, right, sure, we'll do that. But yeah, we're going to need gunpla to do that. But we're kind of short on sand. So hashtag where's the sand? Or hashtag where's the dirt now? So they need to get to Jaburo, because we know that's where most of the dirt is. If not, it's inside 7, so they got to get there. And then we get some of the dumbest. Like, sometimes you wonder about Freddy, and this is one of those moments. So he's like, hey, why don't we just go around? Obviously, it blew away due to the blast wave. Let's just go find all the sand that blew away. Right, guys?
I mean, to be fair, he is a little kid.
He's like 15. The other ones are little kids. But literally, he's like, right? We should do that? Right? And
he's so proud of this idea. He's like, this is a great idea. We can totally do this. And everyone's like, Freddy.
Yeah, I love, literally, like, May's like, no, that's pretty much impossible. We're not going to do that.
I think she says, like, that's not practical or something.
She said, basically, in reality, that's not going to happen. Or it's not realistic. kind of. But I mean, in reality, like assuming that the blast wave knocked a lot of shit away, you just get whatever you can. I mean, you have a gunpla or two. You have a big shield for scooping. Go scoop up all the sand you can find near and around the thing. And you bring it back to the temple. You just dump it all right there. And then you go use the system and see what sand pops out, right? In theory, that could work.
Vacuum.
Yeah, use a giant vacuum. But like, it also seems like if it's not sand, I gotta wonder if it's something like not microbots, but you know what I'm talking, nanomachines, nanobots, like particle/nanomachines. And like to me, like if it's programmable matter, oh god, it's transformium. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's transformium. In theory, it should be able to recall it. Like there's got to be a button somewhere that'd be like return all sand to building. But I just thought about something just now, which I find ridiculous. So the temple houses the interface, houses whatever machinery, makes all this happen. Couldn't you repair the temple with the temple? If you have a template,
it's finite.
Yeah, but I'm saying, well, as we're probably going to see in another episode, I don't think it's that finite, but given destruction. But I guess you would have to have the information for it. So, like, if you had the info in the incarnation system to recreate chunks of the temple, like the pads that were destroyed, things like that, be like, do. Because we know that everything that gets created by it is totally functional the way it should be. So all you have to do is be able to program it. Right? And if they can log out, they can go back to GBN, build a vacuum, and bring it back. And then they can literally suck up all the sand they need.
Make a gunpla special backpack thing for one of the...
Yeah. And then integrate it into the incarnation system so that it can just pump the sand out of the suction thing. And then if they have a device that can scan anything they need and program a way to figure out whatever it is they need for battle in the incarnation, it's the age system. That's just what I was getting at. It's just the age system with sand. Anyway, get the comb everything. It's like bringing sand to the beach. Freddy is 14. Yeah, it's like 14 or 15. It is what it is. They found a way to squeeze in the injection molding machine episode from Divers. Yeah, kind of. All right. Either way, so yeah, they should just make a giant vacuum and come back. That would be funny. And Moran literally just says, we could use the other ruins.
And everyone's like, I'm sorry? Say that again?
The what?
The other ruins, you know? What, I mean, you think we only have one?
Yeah. But literally, it's like, oh yeah, remember all those places they name dropped last season in the Death Flag episode? Who knew those would come back to be important? Like, you know, they talk about I think they talk about the forests or whatever to the south. They talk about the mountains to the west where Milog Mountain is. Obviously, that's something that gets name dropped here. But they mention the fact that, Moran talks literally like, yeah, the Resistance has found 3 other temples like this one. You think we couldn't have used that information at the beginning of this conversation, asshole?
Yeah.
Like, but it still does beg the question from last week, where did Shido come in? Like, was it this temple? He's not from here, so he doesn't know this village, but he's seen the other places. This village doesn't know about him, but somebody would have had to found a temple, access.
I mean, we know he worked with Moran.
Yeah.
So and as we're going to see in a little bit, Moran knows a lot about one of the temples.
Surprisingly.
So maybe that's where Shido popped out from.
Perhaps. We'll find out. It's just cheaper to buy a new printer than to buy more.
You're not wrong.
I have done this. I have actually done this. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, okay, so Freddy found it by accident, found the book by accident, used the book to research the temple, and to get more info on how to do everything. And then he just fumbled his way through the system to accidentally summoning the divers. So I want to see the backstory of how Shido came to there. And hopefully when they finally like break him free of Alice's control, we'll get that. So we'll get all the information I want. Unlike Par's backstory.
We still don't know why he's afraid of flying.
We're actually not even referencing it anymore. It's kind of crappy. Which, think about it, this episode, he had to fly on the outside of the core Gundam to get around.
Oh, they probably thought it'd be really annoying if we had like 15 minutes of him screaming at the top of his lungs.
Assuming he even does that. Yeah, who would ever think about that? Having multiple temples? What a crazy idea. Once again, rural people, middle of nowhere. I guess we're just lucky that this village happened to be close to this temple, right? Yeah, to be fair, the temples didn't really matter in the first season, so yeah, that makes sense. But to talk about the north, and the One Eyes are all over there, so we're probably gonna have to send the Gunpla there. So you guys go there. I like how everybody gets assigned something to do by Muran. To the south is fairly empty. There's not much going on there, so probably have better luck. So Kazumi can go there, and he asks him, "Hey, can you drive that space truck that you've never seen before?" And
Puppy mobile?
Yeah, sure. I can drive it. Why not? I can pilot a Gunpla. How hard can it be? Also, at this point was where I finally saw the resemblance to the dogs, which was really weird. And as you pointed out, I didn't write it down, but you pointed it out. You hear him complaining. He's like, "Wait, how does this thing work? Is there a manual for this?" And he's sitting there like hitting every button, can't even get it to fire up.
I'd just like to imagine throughout the next few scenes until we come back to him, he's still sitting there trying to figure it out, pushing buttons, pulling levers.
Hey, to be fair,
sequence initiate.
Yeah. To be fair, even Goku had to learn how to drive a hover car. So we can't hold it against this moron. I said moron, not moron. But does he know how to drive in real life? That's actually a fair point. Is he even old enough to drive? I think he's old enough to move a boat, which is actually way harder than a car. So I figured it wouldn't be that hard. And it's a hover car, so in theory, it probably functions more like a boat.
And in Japan, not everybody drives.
No. And assuming
public transportation is a major thing there, and if he has no reason to drive, he may not learn or have learned.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not even gonna address those comments. Okay, anyways. But then you randomly say, he's like, okay, well, we'll assign a villager to help him. Gee, I wonder who that'll be. And then basically he's like,
villager from Super Smash Brothers suddenly shows up with the axe.
True. Or it could be Sherry. Anyway, so Par and Freddy get to go with Uncle Creeper. We're going to the mountains. And this is what I thought was funny. So they refer to all of the other places as a direction. Going to the north, going to the south, going to the west. Are they in the east or are they in the middle? This is like
I just kind of figured they were in the central location.
But they don't say there's 5 temples. They only mention 4 sacred areas. So are they the eastern temple? And in theory, that would mean that there is a western temple. Or yeah, I'm sorry, a central temple. So like, obviously we don't see these things on a map, so we can't tell like cardinal directions, of what's in what area. But South Central Eldora, that's funny. I wonder why Eldora doesn't have a flying Nimbus. Well, they might. Yes, the scenes with Kazumi and Maya are funny. But then I love this. So he just keeps dropping info bombs. He's just like, yeah, so we're gonna head to Mulag Mountain. He's like, okay, cool. And he's like, it's the home of the sacred beast Quadorn. The what?
And yeah, Freddy's like,
sacred beast.
Wait. So the sacred beast is a real thing? And they're like, yeah, of course it's real.
Yeah.
Since when? Since forever?
Yeah, so it was Par. So Par first says, wait, so the sacred beasts are real? And Freddy's like, yeah, of course they're real. They're awesome. It's like, what the fuck? You just found out it was real. And he's like, no, they're divine beings that watch over us from space.
And then Freddy's like, or Par looks at Freddy, it's like, so have you seen them before? Well, no.
No. But then
it's called faith, Par.
Yeah, this would be faith, correct. And I think that Freddy had seen something about it in the book, more than likely.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure of it.
But the fact that they called Valkylander the Sacred Beast to begin with means they know something of the Sacred Beast. And, of course, last week's teaser, we know there is legitimately a beast. And, well, we can call it sacred all we like. The gunpla are technically sacred. Yeah, Muran, who was completely useless before, except for being a bitch, it's just like all the knowledge this episode. It's just like, cool.
Making up for being so useless last.
It's like, hey, look, I know I didn't trust you before, but here's a ton of exposition. Okay. This is like, I'm not even going to be vague about things anymore. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's like, you're coming with me. Why? We could go on our own. No, you're coming with me. All right.
I need an adult. I am an
adult. Oh, DBZA. We will forever miss. Speaking of which, have you watched their new show, Unabridged?
Unabridged. Oh, that is hilarious.
It's sad that they had to stop due to what's going on. But oh my god, that last episode broke my brain.
I want to see them do episodes that take place during the shelter in place stuff and have all those people like have to be stuck in the office or something like that and live with each other for a while.
Oh my god, it'd be so bad.
I know, right?
Yeah. So basically we get our new side missions here. Like, oh, the main mission that failed. Side mission time until you level up.
Yeah. Time to grind.
Time to grind, literally. And it's like, but I said, basically, new side mission: befriend the Sacred Beast, because that's probably what's going to happen.
Secondary side mission: don't get eaten.
Yes, don't get eaten. Well, yeah, I guess it just woke up for God knows how long of a sleep. It might be hungry.
It might be hungry.
Look like food. I bet it's a vegetarian. I bet they get scared by it, and he's like, "I won't eat you. I'm a vegetarian."
I'm actually vegan. I'm 4th level vegan. I don't eat anything with a shadow.
Yeah, I only eat the imaginary fruit. Anyways, but here's the thing. Muran literally says, well, I was already prepping to go there anyways. Because of reasons. Right? It's like, so wait, if you hadn't just stumbled upon... Yeah, I'm not suspicious at all. There's nothing suspicious about that. But what, like, he just conveniently ran into the divers. And he's like, hey, somebody else to do the thing I was going to go do that I wasn't sure if it was going to work. Which is probably going to come up next week. Oh, this is a thing that I forgot to delete from the thing. Comment about spacebar not working. For some reason, my spacebar got all clogged up earlier while I was typing, and I had like large run-on words. And luckily, Google Docs is incredibly good about catching those things and can break it up. Anyways, but Alex Fact is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you guys can make it, like Freddie and Par. Yeah, you guys are great. It'll be fine. Be good. It's great. Get in the car, kids. I'm allergic to humans. That's funny. Or Ningans. Ningen. Anyways, so before they leave, Hiruto tells Muran that he doesn't think that Masaki would have betrayed them. But then he clearly, and like Muran's like, I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, that's a great thought. Thank you for telling me that. But he clearly didn't take the time to go, oh, by the way, he might be being controlled by the evil purple guy we saw on the moon.
So everything, that's like, should I tell him about the mind control? Nah, that's not important.
Yeah, so we already know that
has a sharing problem. He doesn't do it enough.
He's still having a sharing problem, so we got some negative character development here. But like, he literally saw him. He already saw him having issues, like kind of calm and controlled, and then going nuts. So, and we know that when he wasn't in control, the cell time was doing nothing. So, like, he's already seen that the guy that they now know is a real person stuck in Eldora is in a machine going against everything we know that he stood for. Something is wrong. And he basically says, look, I don't think he would have done that by choice. But yeah, he literally should have finished that thought. Ron's like, cool, thanks for telling me that. I feel better now. It's go time. Which means we get this. I love, like, he's literally, how did she get in the car without him noticing? That's what I thought was really funny. It's just like all of a sudden he's not even trying to drive, just sitting in the passenger seat, and then like she just hops in, like, okay, I got this.
I love this entire sequence.
Everything about this. So he turns around, ah! And he's like, wait, can you really drive? And then she's like, basically says, like, look, if you don't hold on, you're gonna bite your tongue off.
She says, stop talking, otherwise you're gonna bite your tongue, which is a phrase I've heard in anime several times.
Hey, boo. You going to bed? All right. Okay. You have to do that tomorrow.
I have to go to work tomorrow.
She's going to bed, guys. And she didn't clean up anything. She left all the mess in the kitchen.
Whoa, your microphone just went weird.
What did it do?
Well, now it's back to normal. It was all tinny for a moment, but now it's fine, I guess.
Oh, I have no idea. But basically, she tells him to shut the fuck up on driving. And you typed a thing that I'm not sure what you're referencing.
I put in Eurobeat music starts because she comes off almost like something from like Initial D, which is an anime about street racing.
Oh, okay.
And that, in fact, I sent you an image where I redrew her face like one of the characters from Initial D, and I put Eurobeat intensifies.
Okay. I saw the meme. I didn't know that's what you had done to it. But yeah, that's a fair point, Ben R, that they are right-hand drive. So they were invaded by the Japanese. Oh, yeah. We're on the... Okay, hold on. This. He needs to know, so he needs to know if the African swallow can pick them up. And if it'll be enough flight speed to carry them. Still not sure about the mind control thing. No, but he could have mentioned something. Do you just feel like you have to say all those things, Andreas? You really start reminding me of somebody else. Anyways, but just before the break, we actually see the core Gundam and with the Valkylander head on its left arm. And then you kind of make out the sword on the other side. And you also see the Maydol with the shield on her back, which is pretty cool. And then I thought
that was really cool. Can she do that? Is there a port in the back for her to do that at all?
I think so. Well, there's nothing directly in the back. So she has a backpack, but she has a peg for mounting that goes into the jetpack backpack. But if she doesn't have that back, well, if it is her gunpla, then that would be the only place to plug it in. There's nothing like small of her back for weapon storage or anything like that. Maya is a savage. Oh yeah, I did forget the fact that he's like, oh, you're a completely different person when you drive, because she's just like rage. But I think she's also got some emotional things happening right now. So she looks like she's driving the Thunder Tank off from Cat's Lair. Yeah. Like that first drive, or like when
people are on the move, puppy people are loose.
Kind of. I think like when the Lionel first takes the Thunder Tank out and he can't drive it worth a shit and he pisses off Panthro. Maya Savage. Justice Knight shield the same on the new Kazumi Gunpla. Does the Aegis Knight? No, it doesn't even have the same shield. It uses a brand new thing. It's like a big.
I think it maybe has the same lance. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it uses a similar lance.
The Aegis Knight has a brand new shield because it's got like wings and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like the flyer mode, which I'm sure he copies from the thing. She has a peg for mounting. She does. It's in her back. It's not in an awkward location, creepers. But no, but now I want a Justice Knight shield that she can carry. So I like the idea that you can have these sort of upgrades to pre-existing Gunpla, so to speak. You know, actually seeing crossover weapons, that's pretty neat to my mind. And then we go to commercial break. I mean, nothing happens, but this is where the commercial break would be.
Yes.
And now for your new sponsor.
Now it's my turn.
So what we're going to try to do, this is our first experiment. I'm just going to cover the first half, and then he's going to cover the second half. Because last week I realized I did 90% of the talking. So he gets to be in charge for now. I'm going to provide commentary and pull up the pictures. So we have to have synchronized notes now.
Yeah, so I'm reading off of our shared notes. So in some ways he's still doing most of the talking because he did most of the notes.
We don't have to read what I wrote.
Anyway, so they're on their way, and May and Hiroto are talking to each other. And yeah, you have written down, it's like they have this short conversation about what it's like to be human. Talking about compassion and consideration. May had that line, it's like, if your words can help those worried about someone, you'll do that. Is that what they call human kindness? And then we see Hiroto smiling again.
Yeah. Well, she's asking him, why did you bother saying that to him?
Yeah, because we comment about how he doesn't tell them everything, but in truth, he doesn't know everything yet. And he does kind of come off as the type of person that he doesn't want to say everything unless he knows 100% certain what's going on.
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of like we were talking about before, just a minute ago. It's just like, obviously, Moran, he even mentioned the fact that he could see that Moran definitely was hurt by what Shido did, and that he probably cares about him. Like, judging by the picture together where they look like they're friends, how really angry and hurt that Moran was at this. Just the slight information to know that the person you considered a friend that you thought really betrayed you and your people didn't do it potentially on their own, or maybe they're not doing that for the reason you think they are. You know, try to comfort was the word I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Try to comfort him in that.
And it's kind of interesting that a lot of this seems like, I don't know if new information is the right term, but May doesn't seem to quite fully understand all this stuff. It's like she's still learning about emotions herself.
Well, I mean, she is still new. Like, we don't actually know. I don't think they even mentioned how long ago May surfaced.
And apparently I need to plug my phone in. I thought I had enough power, and it's telling me I have like 15%.
Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, that's not going to last very long. You should probably plug that in.
Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry.
In the meantime, I will continue just where we left off, because I do have a point coming. All right, so basically, even they're looking up at the sky, and it said, I wonder why they haven't fired the cannon again. And he's like, yeah, I was thinking about that too. Now, if you aren't following the Discord and actually checking out my things, not that, where's that picture? Crap, hold on. Oh, okay, I put it in the wrong spot. My bad. This picture is the one I was looking for. So I did translate one of Alice's screens. I'll bring it up a little bit bigger so you guys can hopefully see it. So this was what popped up on the screen after the weapon fired. So repair mode, startup, however much time, consumption error, prediction time, calculating. So it was legitimately damaged enough that it needed to be repaired. Now, one thing we also don't know is if he uses the incarnation system to fix this, or is having to use like real materials. We don't know. So the main reason it hasn't fired again is probably due to the fact that it was busted, like bad. It's like also, potentially wasn't used for the proper thing. Nice. Like in terms of exposition, Cosme is definitely Hiroto's foil. Tin foil. A knight in tinfoil armor. That's funny. This is what it sounds like while he's trying to plug in a thing. Yes, they are on a timetable to get back to the moon before it fires again. It's basically like this fully operational space station. or battle station rather. But I actually wrote down, this was in my thoughts. So if he really wanted to destroy Eldora, why wouldn't he? That was kind of what their question. Because he had the power to do it. He could literally just bam, 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 just keep spamming the planet till nothing was left. But it's kind of what we talked about last time, especially with the way he was talking. Alice, that is. I don't believe he was ever meant to attack the planet. I believe he was meant as a protector. And the creators who left him there either left him running or something else corrupted him. Especially the fact that he's hacked into GBN could have had an effect on that. But for some reason, he's actually seeing the inhabitants of Eldora as intruders to some degree. Like the way he talked down to Freddy and the fact that he attacked the resistance the way he did. But the humans that came to visit, not so much. Also, I just realized I didn't have this up the way I wanted it. I'm sitting here making motions and I realized nobody could see. But the One Eyes were destroying the resistance who attacked them. Also, kind of how they went up the Silver Tower, made it all the way to the moon, were encountering no resistance at all. They managed to talk to Alice with no resistance at all. Until they provoked and attacked him.
They even made a big deal about when they were flying up to the moon, they're like, this is the part where if we get attacked, we're going to go floating off into space. And it's like tense music, tense music, tense music, tense music. And then they land in the thing. And it's like, oh, I guess nothing happened.
Yeah. Carlos says they're looking for something. That's why they haven't fired the cannon. Maybe. Trying to set a perimeter. I don't know. But why does Alice have the cannon in the first place? Well, the cannon wasn't facing the planet. The cannon had to be turned to face the planet. Odds are it was meant for planetary defense, hit something further away, not attack the planet itself. Because the people who created Alice, which is incredibly likely, put him up there. It's not that he was meant to protect them, but if they left him in charge of protecting the planet and then left, maybe to Earth, who knows, which I've already made a lot of Stargate connections here. There's a whole lot of things very similar to the way the ancients worked in Star Trek. Is Alice an Eldiver? No, Alice is not an Eldiver. Alice is an AI that exists here. And he's treating the puppy people like the anti-spirals did in Gurren Lagann. That's kind of true. We kind of had to talk about which giant oversized weapon would be the most powerful. We talked about that a while back. But either way. So we actually get a little bit further along after this conversation. We jump to the south.
Yep.
Do you want to take over from here?
And they're zooming through what looks like a jungle, basically.
Yeah, it looks like South America. A lot of rivers, a lot of jungle.
No dirt, though. Interesting.
It might be. Is it Jaburo? Though, oddly enough, they're mangrove trees, so that's interesting. They actually look like.
I didn't even pay that close attention to what kind of trees it were.
Yeah, they're mangrove trees. You see the big exposed roots like the rivers dropped. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and so they're driving along, and Maya is just an absolute maniac behind the wheel. Because there's at one point she's zooming along, skimming over the water, and then like a hill comes, and they go up and get air, and then crash down again and keep going.
Yep.
And all the while, Kazumi is trying to have a meaningful conversation. It's just he's Kazumi, so he can't necessarily follow through with it.
No, he does suck a little bit.
Let's see, what was that he was saying beforehand?
Well, he basically leads up into that one. He's scared of the way she's driving, but he looks over at her and she smiles.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you really are a living thing, aren't you? And she's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, she can't hear him over the noise of the engine and the vehicle flying through the air. And then he also he tried to say something about her driving. Oh no, I'm sorry. He does say something about her driving. What he tried to say is, by the way, the laser that fired, that was kind of my. And she's like, what?
Yeah, and then he's like, who taught you to drive?
Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't
It's
say
like, how'd you learn to drive like that? It's like, I had a good teacher. Oh, who was that? My brother Jed.
What did you say? Pretty sure you just said Jeb again.
That's distinctly possible.
Yeah, you still can't get it right. It's fine.
Nope.
I am from the Philippines. Hello, Lindell Rodriguez. Hi. He's a hopeless romantic. But this scene, everybody's been talking about in the chat. The animation for this scene was so great.
Yeah, and even just like how they draw the people in it is really nice too. Like just the subtle way that they make her, they distinguish her face as being more canine or animal like. There's just something about this scene in particular I think is really nice.
Yeah, but to me it was the kind of like the real, not real life, but everything was moving because there's so much wind acting on them. Their hair was constantly moving.
Yeah, because Kazumi has that long hair, so yeah, it's flipping around in the breeze. Her hair is flipping.
Her hair, her ears,
earlier,
everything.
you see like they have a wake going from skimming over the water too, if I remember correctly, right?
Yep, they got some wake splashing up. There's like mist every now and then. Of course, you had the moving background and stuff like that, the different depths of focus. And it didn't even feel like this type of show. In fact, like it reminded me a little bit of Legend of Korra a little bit. It looked a little like Studio Mirror-ish. I was like, whoa. I was like, this is pretty awesome. But the fact that he actually tried.
It feels more like something out of like an 80s or early 90s anime where they have those scenes where everything is moving all at the same time.
Yeah. The scene in the car is very Miyazaki-ish. It was. It also had a Miyazaki feel to it. It's the thin lines. Like a lot of this has some of the thicker lines. This is super thin lines because things are moving so much. It was also probably a bit digital, or a bit more digital than normal due to the way things had to move. So it just looked very different. It was very nice. Yeah, and you didn't have to animate a ton of like fight scenes in this. So I guess focusing it on a really pretty scene made sense. And good lord, some of the matte paintings in this, some of the matte backgrounds in this episode were amazing. But Jerry said she's almost designed as if she was supposed to have short hair. And like here, because you don't see the big, long hair behind her, she does actually look like she's meant to have short hair. It's pretty interesting. Also, yes, lots of facial expressions in this, especially from these two.
Let's see. Then when we cut to the next scene, we actually start off, and they've been doing this throughout the entire episode. They cut to the scene, and first thing you see is the moon with the death ray pointing directly at you.
Yeah.
And they do it throughout the entire episode. So it just adds a sort of ominous ticking time bomb feel to everything.
Yep, indeed. But we're also in the east now.
Yeah, because now we're looking at Parr and Moran and company. And I made a note here. It's like they had made a point of showing like the back of the truck bed, and he has something under a blue tarp. And I'm like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, definitely like big and square. Like you can see he's got stuff in the bed of the truck.
And they keep focusing on it. So obviously it's important. And we'll get to that in a little bit. And while they're in there, Parr has a little display up and is going through, what is it, Gpedia?
Yeah, Gpedia on GBN, which is really interesting. So it's basically, it's the Gundam wiki, kind of. And he's actually searching for Eldora, which is interesting. So I did run this through Google Translate because this is a real language. And basically, it's like you are not logged in, and then it's got talk, post, log, account, create, login, Gpedia, search in Gpedia, free, Gundam Encyclopedia, special page, search results, report page, help. Eldora search, Eldora. There's no related topic. And then, oddly enough, we actually get our Patrick cameo in this screen because it even says down here, Patrick Colasar sister project is down in one thing. I don't know exactly which part of it is. It might be down in the G News, down in the bottom corner. I could be wrong. Maybe not. Might be in the middle of the screen. It doesn't tell me. I just translated straight up. But I thought that was really funny. They didn't have a picture of him, but they name dropped the fucker on this page.
Because it's not an episode of Bill Divers if Patrick Colasar doesn't show up somehow.
Somehow, yeah. Then it says main page news, latest updates, Portal, Universe Century, Future Century, After Colonies. So, like, there's a whole section there about the different things. So, that's interesting. So, here's the Eldiver section, though, which I thought was interesting. Like, you can just see it says EL there. Yeah, so,
I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Yeah. So, he's literally searching for Eldora. He wants to know if it's a thing. Yeah, this season might end up being a big race against time. Well, it already is. They don't even know what it is, though. Yeah, it is Gundam Wiki. Yeah. I'm sorry I'm reading the chats there.
It's good.
Yeah. GBN teachers don't recognize GPedia as a reputable source. Well, they would have to. It's literally GBN's thing. Okay. Well, let's continue on.
Yeah, so Par's looking at this and closes it down. He wonders if, everybody's going to be okay. And Freddy's wondering if the Sacred Beast is going to be nice when they meet them. Which, I mean, yeah, they are kind of showing up at the Sacred Beast home unannounced. I'd be worried.
Like, hey, Sacred Beast guy, we're here to look at your sand. Also, hi.
You're a big dragon, aren't you?
Assuming he's a dragon. maybe they're just playing it for a loop. Maybe that's not even the Sacred Beast that we saw. But actually, I didn't write it down. My apologies. But Par was asking, are they going to be okay without Hiroto and Mei and Kazumi with them? So he's still having those doubts about himself. Also, no Gunpla.
Yeah, so I think his doubts are he's justified in being a little bit worried about their safety, considering all the safety nets are gone, thrown away, and on fire right now.
Exactly.
And let's see, and then they started talking about the Space Crossing Festival, and Freddy has a new lantern to give to the Beast, and it's for Jed. And this breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because he's holding this thing, and even before he says anything, it's like, oh, that's for his brother, isn't it?
Yeah, because we already saw this last episode, so I like the continuity that we saw him building it, and now it's done. And then the fact is like, yeah, because even Moran asked him, was like, so why, if you didn't plan on meeting him, why did you bring the lantern with you? And it's like, why did you bring that lantern? And then we get flashback. You remember that Space Crossing Festival? It's like, well, basically, I'm going to give this to the Beast specifically for my brother Jed, for all those things that happen. Because basically, as we discovered, the things are supposed to float across to Mount Melag and then go up to space to let the souls pass on or be reincarnated, kind of flub that a little bit. But Moran says, he's like, I'm sure that the Beast will listen to you because you brought that lantern. And then he keeps saying he'll listen to you guys. He really keeps pointing at, y'all are going without me. Like all the time. He keeps foreshadowing that he's not going with them. So it's just like, he just doesn't seem like he's going to be the frontline guy ever,
you know? You guys are going to have a lot of fun over there while I'm going to be over here where it's safe.
Yeah. Well, Stola's not dead. Well, I mean, that's why he didn't make one. But I'm thinking that we don't know how far away they were. But by now, they would have had time to get back to the village. We don't know where Stola is right now. We don't know where the other guys are. We know they didn't die, at least not on screen. So, I don't know. You're right in the fact that he only made the one for Jed. Also, not considering that maybe they didn't have enough to make a buttload of lanterns. They had just made a whole lot.
Jed's also his brother, while Stola is just one of the other kids that live in the village. I'm sure he is sad of his passing if he thinks that he's dead.
Yeah, it is
but
the
he's
priority.
not family, direct blood relative.
Yeah, I brought this to light up the cave. What do you think? That's funny. Freddy is the best character. Let's just be honest here. He's always thinking about others, rarely himself. Continue.
Okay, so we cut back to Hiruto and Mei, and they encounter new Gunpla on stores now by Bug Your Parents. Actually, no, we don't have these particular versions of the Windums even advertised yet, but I'm sure eventually they'll get kits.
They'll I think didn't they only show off the actual HG Windums, not these? But then again, look how long it took them to show up the Daughters, and it was P Bandai.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
So there's the Daughters was P Bandai, which everybody was kind of like, why?
They hate us. That's why.
Pretty much. And there's like what, 3 or 4 of these Windums? 3. And one of them I noticed was equipped with the gun binders from the Build Custom Parts set.
Oh yeah, I just see that in your notes.
And the only reason I picked up on that was because I have that set and was using it on another custom.
That is actually funny that you have that in particular.
And as they start fighting them, they realize these things are a lot tougher than the Death Army ones they've been fighting.
Yeah, and by the way, I kind of forgot to post a picture in the notes.
In fact, I think, is that the one that has the binders? I think so.
It looks like it, yeah. That's the one that attacks up front with the axe.
These guys look really cool, by the way. The eyes are maybe a little bit on the big side for something evil, I think, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, and they got big glowy purple bits on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all kinds of interesting new stuff.
Yeah. And this entire fight sequence is just amazingly animated, especially when you think about the fact that they don't do CGI mecha in this. All of their mecha fights and stuff like that are hand drawn, basically.
Oh yeah.
Because even the behind scenes thing that they did before the first episode of the season, they talk about how these are all hand drawn.
Yeah. I thought I took a different picture here, but so Hiruto gets attacked right up front, and he blocks it with the Valkylander head, actually. And then Mei gets attacked as well, and she actually gets her weapons knocked away. She's trying to use her beam thingy.
Yeah, she deploys the beam shields off her shoulders, and those go flying around.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I love she takes them off and flings them, and they're like almost like shuriken shields, kind of, which I think we saw her do last season.
Yeah, that was when in her sort of debut battle with the mobile doll form, she does that.
Yeah. But then like she immediately gets overpowered and then have to pull out the shield. Like she actually reaches back and pulls back the shield, and they get the plum, like almost like Thor hitting Captain America's shield. They really do struggle in this battle at first because they're stronger than they expected. Their output is higher, and their armor is heavier.
And there's a lot of teamwork going on both sides.
Yeah,
because Hiruto has to go in and help out Mei throughout the battle, and every so often they're fighting, and then suddenly one of the other Windums comes in and does something to trip them up.
Yeah. So as actually, like I said, teamwork out of nowhere. So she's nearly about to lose, and then Hiruto shoots the arm off of the Windam that's attacking her. And then I guess they beat that one. It's kind of weird because there is only 3 of them, but they almost look like they fight 4. So it's like they forgot one didn't die, and then they had to kill it again. But I love the fact, so she drops the shield at one point, and then to help out Hiruto, that I think who's about to get attacked elsewise, she kicks it with her foot, flips it up, and then kicks the shield across the battlefield to knock the weapon out of the Windam's hand across the way.
And she uses her feet and does a lot of kicks throughout all of this, and it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, she actually uses her feet more than we've ever seen her do, which is kind of crazy. So after she kicks the shield over there, I guess Hiruto doesn't have any guns on him. He only has like his little ones, but like he doesn't have any big weaponry. So
Yeah,
he
because it's just the
makes
core
two.
Gundam. He only has the basically beam spray gun.
Yeah, basically. And so he does have one other weapon, the Valkylander sword. So he does the thing where he slices through the cloud of dirt, because that works. And he announces that he's charging in and he slices through the window, like almost slices it in half, and then he looks at it and goes, "Wait, what?" And then he backs off and it explodes.
Yeah, because he looks at it and you can see that there's basically like a hollow space inside of it. I think also he's noticed because they don't show anything inside. And I think maybe that's what he's supposed to be noticing. It's like there's not a cockpit per se in there, but it is a hollow thing.
Yeah, I think that's what he realized.
Weird. And so
yeah, no, that's about right. Yeah, I just like notices that it's hollow, and he sliced kind of through the chest. Like I guess he would have expected a cockpit with a pilot, because they're used to fighting
something.
Piloted
Especially
things.
Being a person who plays GBN, you would assume that he is a fan of Gundam and would have seen a lot of the anime.
Yeah.
And so whenever they cut open a mobile suit like that, you always see the cockpit.
You see a pilot or something, yeah. But there's literally nothing.
He cuts it open and there's nothing. So if he's like expecting to see something in there, he's like, wait, what?
Yeah. And then for some reason he flings the Valkylander sword to May.
Because it's awesome.
Just because, like literally there's no other reason for it. But then she doesn't even really use it. Like she does one strike with it and then like flips over the window. And then actually like goes down on her hands and then does like an upward rising kick. Like she does a backflip first and then does it again with both feet, turning into some kind of Kamen Rider.
Doesn't she also like do a corkscrew thing going through it?
Yeah, it's
and like her heels are glowing.
Yeah, so she does like this energy corkscrew kick. It takes the head off of this freaking window. Like, okay, I know you only just started using this thing out in public, but like, how do you know how to do this? Like it's like this would have been really useful at a couple points in time so far.
And the way she finishes off is amazing because she lands, she does this like 3-point superhero landing, catches the sword, and then like the thing explodes behind her, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it does. She did. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, she flies back over here in the foreground. I don't know where the sword came from, but she catches the sword blindly, does the thing like this, and then it explodes behind her, all like Super Robo style. I love it when they do that, like either Super Robo or Sentai. And this was very Sentai. And yes, she definitely played way too much Cammy, because that is a straight up Cammy attack from Street Fighter. May Zero Suit Samus. Oh yeah, I think Zero Suit Samus does that same attack too. Yeah, it sort of is her body, but isn't at the same time, because she can't control it by like moving. She's controlling it with joysticks. So like, how do you make that movement with joysticks?
That's one of those things you don't think about too much, because
this is what bugs me about the way Gunpla Battle works. This is like, how do you do a complex movement with your feet?
How do you do that with regular mobile suits?
They don't. It's like most mobile suit movement. I don't know how they kick with a mobile suit, to be totally honest.
See?
It's like that makes no sense, because just pedals that are just for acceleration, or like it telling it to walk. You know, only
and Char does kicks all the time.
Yeah, only Robot Jocks shows real leg movements.
Well, even and the Gundam series that shall not be named.
Well, also Build Fighters, but they never did actual kicks. But they could still do the kicks with moving 2 light balls around, makes kick happen. Push the kick button. Ding, 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 ding. Down to. But yeah, no, it's just like some absurd attack that's really awesome.
Speaking of awesome things, time for a new gimmick.
Gimmick. No, not
goes Core change, core flyer.
For some reason, the picture isn't in order. I know why. I didn't include that. That sucks. Oh well, we go straight to flyer mode.
And it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you phrase it? It's a shield. It's a shield flyer, so it kind of compacts up, and then the shield, or in this case, I think he uses that as a shield in the Uraven form.
Well, the reason I call it shield is because if you actually look at the screen that actually didn't get shared, it does say core shield, and that's what merges with the core Gundam to make.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at that now.
Yeah. So sorry guys, that picture actually didn't come through as a thing. I apologize.
I can try to.
I'm not worried about it. They've seen the episode, so it's pretty cool.
And obviously, the animators really wanted to show this thing off because we get this beautiful scene here, complete with unnecessary lens flare and stuff.
I love the lens flare. I thought that was ridiculous. And it actually hangs for a second. Like, it's actually not just a blink and you'll miss it. It hangs there for a second.
Yeah, it's like, I'm awesome. Take it in. Yep, screen cap this. Use me as a background.
Use me as your thumbnail. Yeah. But it is straight up like a wing Gundam. It does look like a straight up miniature wing Gundam. Let's just be honest here. It's a bird mode.
And what he does is really cool because you see him zip around to get out of the valley that they're in. Yep. And the Gundam with the gun binders gives chase. And then he goes up. And so as he's going up, the Gundam gives chase, and then he pushes the basically turn off engine button.
Yep.
I think it says like in thrust or something like that.
Yep, it's a stall maneuver.
And then he starts falling back, and something that you notice that the physics on this are represented quite nicely because you see him, they show him in the cockpit, and he's even tilted backwards.
Yep.
And then you start seeing his hair in his poncho thing start moving past him as he's falling backwards.
Yeah. So he does a stall thing. So he goes up, fakes a stall, turns off the engines as the Gundam's behind him. Why the Gundam is so stupid to fall for this, who knows? Because it only really works if they're right on your ass, which he clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
It's way faster than the Gundam. So he stalls, and I guess he thinks, oh, he ran out of thrust, which is the whole point of a stall thing. You fake a stall, like your engine can't go any higher. So your engine quits, and then you start to fall. But then he flips, and then he starts shooting as the Gundam goes past him, and he flips it back up and basically shoots all the binders off the back.
My thought was that the Gundam probably could. It's super fast, but it can't stop on a dime. So it basically overshoots, and then he starts firing as the thing is going past him, which I think is a neat kind of bit of realism there.
Yeah.
Because they could have just had he waits for it to get in front of him, and then you see a lock on target thing, and then he shoots at it. No,
that's usually what happens.
Spray up stuff until basically it gets in the way of his bullets.
Yeah. Well, this is the same kind of maneuver where you got somebody chasing you normal forward, and then all of a sudden you go flaps and you go whoop, and they go right past you and you shoot them in the ass. It's just the vertical version. But the fact that the idea is to make it look like your engines have quit, so they already think they're going to take you down. But then he pivots out of the way, which makes him harder to hit. And except the Gundam could have gone, turn the gun down and shoot at him. But he also, one thing that's slightly dangerous about it is he started shooting while he was still rotating, not before he came back around. So he was shooting downward, and I guess he's kind of lucky he didn't hit May or anything important as he was flipping back around.
I don't think he was pointing downward when he started firing. I think he was still upward.
No, he was rotated. He started shooting while he was rotating around. So he wasn't flipped back and then started. He was shooting as he was rotating back. So it's okay. I mean, it would work, especially if there was a bunch of them. That would totally work. It was a cool maneuver, regardless.
And he hits the Gundam.
It's super classic,
and it starts to fall. And I laughed when I saw this even the first time because basically it's like Wile E. Coyote.
It was Wile E. Coyote. I was about to say it.
I was half expecting the goofy yell
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even make like a satisfying sound when it hits. It's just sort of a, and you see like a little puff of smoke as he falls to the ground.
Yeah, and it maybe it was just the way I was watching it, but it looked like they skipped a frame. Like it was like moving really quick. It's like, and it's on the ground. But yeah, no, I didn't even read your note there that said Wile E. Coyote. In my mind, I was thinking it's totally Wile E. Coyote falling off the cliff.
Especially the position he's in, because he's like spread eagle arm.
Yeah,
his arms are up, his legs are up. It was hilarious. I don't know if that's what they intended.
Well, I like the idea that he did Roadrunner out of the way. he literally turns, flattens, and goes, and then flies away, and then it falls.
So for the next Shoki cut, you need to get some music from a Roadrunner cartoon and overdub it with that.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I still need to actually attempt to do that with that origin episode. I started and I completely got sidetracked.
Release the Shoki cut.
Release the Shoki cut. There is no Shoki cut. But anyway, it hits the ground and then they go to investigate it.
Yeah, so Hirata wants to see how they work, and you haven't noticed, like, oddly, it looks like a smashed up gunpla.
It does. I mean, look at the bits and pieces. It's crazy. And also, its binders conveniently landed right next to it.
Yeah.
Instead of drifting away.
I was kind of hoping that maybe we'd see, like, the little connector pegs for it or something, but sadly you don't.
Well, it's... I mean, it would depend on... If these things haven't come through the system, then he's only basing it off what he can see. So, like, there's not even quote-unquote internal mechanisms, as we kind of find out, but
yeah,
like,
and so they make a comment about how it looks like gunpla, and you're like, how are they just now realizing this?
Yeah, like they even commented, like, I think they even commented last season, like they look like the Death Army from G Gundam.
So I think I don't think it's so much that they're saying they're like, wow, this looks like gunpla. I think it's more like, wow, it really is like gunpla. Like, because it's one thing to look at it, you know, from a distance through your mobile suit. Right now, they are getting up to the point where Hirata could go out and poke the thing with his finger if he really wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, they finally do notice, like, it's I guess maybe it's just the way it's translated. Maybe it's supposed to be like, it's like, they really do look like gunpla. Like, you know, the fact that this thing looks like a Windom, the other things look like those things, you know, the Celtam based off the Mark III or the Tertium. And it's more than just like a custom they would see in GBN. And now they know that they're quote unquote real and that they work for Alice, or Alice runs them, however you want to put it. Just like, yeah, they're connecting a lot of dots. They're like, okay, we know he can see GBN. We know that we are created reality here. And now these things exist, you know, and they're not a game. So they're not just poof disappearing into particles when they're destroyed.
Yeah. So he gets up close to the thing because they're looking at it, and it's probably a good thing that he didn't try to reach out and poke the thing, because suddenly there's a banging sound, and the head just suddenly blows apart.
Yep.
And we see the true form, maybe possibly, of the One Eyes, which we saw those little tentacle things in the previous episode, but we didn't see what they were attached to, and it's this thing. And something that I noticed, it's dripping.
Yes. There is blue goo. I don't know if you saw it in a zoomed out shot after they kill it. There is blue goo coming out of the head.
Yeah, and I don't think the goo is coming from the pod thing, the true form thing. I think maybe there might be goo inside. I don't know.
It was because it came out of the head, and the head was full of blue goo.
Yeah,
I didn't get a screenshot of it, but I should. But I thought it was interesting. So this thing comes out. They see the tentacles first, which we know, but they haven't seen. Also, I want to point out that the tentacles look a lot like the flexible sword bits for like some of the gunpla we've gotten in the last couple of years, like the Julieta or the Grays or whatever. Julieta.
Oh
yeah. So it looks exactly like that flexible material for those swords. I forgot to mention that last week, but I like that. I didn't catch it here, but the eye actually changes It like glows like a brighter purple, and then it decides to do its thing. Also, it's probably a Haro.
Let's see. Did we mention last time that the symbol that we're seeing here is the letter I in their alphabet?
Yes, we mentioned that last week.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting that their I / the target / whatever just happens to look like the letter I.
That's too punny to be a coincidence, I think. Yeah. And it's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that the dripping thing is all about the some kind of hydraulic goo, perhaps.
Yeah. So it attacks, and May just it has none of it. She kicks the thing and sends it flying across the valley.
Yeah.
Because it goes smashing into a wall, doesn't it?
Yeah, she hits it so hard that it realizes it's an anime. It's a lot like this thing.
And then she pulls out her sidearm and shoots it a few times for good measure.
Yeah, she shoots it to death, which I thought was crazy. Like, we kind of forget she has a gun because she's only used.
Yeah, she's like the only one that has a sidearm.
Yeah.
Which, considering May always sort of felt like she was operating like an official capacity for GBN. At least to me, it always felt like she was special police for GBN or something like that, or a spy or military or something like that. So it makes sense to me that she has a sidearm that she can pull out and shoot problematic things.
Well, it is very much like a gun from 00, especially from Celestial Being. But no, Jerry, does it mean they started making the Gundams differently? No. I think every one-eye thing so far that they fought is exactly like this, with the exception of
the Celtsam.
The exception of Celtsam that has a pilot. But it doesn't mean that Celtsam doesn't have one of these in it somewhere.
Because it could be that maybe Sid is inside one of these things, which is inside the Celtsam?
It could be, but this could also be his concept of a GBN cockpit, which is
because the cockpit, because it's a big sphere.
Yep. So
we don't know what's inside that thing other than explodium.
Yep.
Actually, did it explode?
It did not explode here. It just died. It sparked and whatnot, but it died. He says arms are reminiscent of the Phoenix's tails, and the one that has the tails, but you're probably right. May did her version of Will Smith's Welcome to Earth. Yep, that's exactly
pretty
what
much,
that was.
Right?
Tentacles are coming up, punches in the face. But I love the fact it was almost like
Welcome to Eldora.
Yeah, it was like a One Punch Man situation. She hit it so hard it didn't know it got hit yet, and then it went flying. So, like, I guess it still is very Wile E. Coyote-esque. But yeah, I was trying to attack Hiruto, and he was just standing there shocked. But it's like basically like this is what's piloting these things. Like, they're not people. They're not kind of unintelligible. Like the GBN, like whenever they had the Leos and stuff, that they're not.
Yeah, because we had always just sort of assumed that they were basically big robots that were being controlled by some central system,
or an NPC or something. Yeah, or they probably just assumed it's just a random NPC. Now they know there's a thing inside it, and if they're smart, they've noticed the connection here. But that's not for them to see. You know, we're the audience. But yeah, no, that was crazy to get this revealed that quick, to be totally honest. But we're doing what they did in season 1. Present the question, answer it the next episode, you know? It's a Roy. It's not a Roy. Roys are square-ish. But they do have 4 legs.
It would have been funny if this had like a Haro face or something like that, but that probably...
Yeah, if it's a Haro face on the other side, I'm going to be pissed. It does kind of look like Haro eyes. But somebody after this episode has made this. I guarantee you. Somebody started it already. I bet next week we see it on one of the groups that somebody's already built it.
I want to see a petite guy with this face.
No, nobody needs to do that. But
Make it happen.
I did also make the correlation to it's kind of like in Pacific Rim Uprising, which I think we talked about last week too.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, so you can take point on that part.
But that's fine. But it's like they had the drone Jaegers that were introduced later in the movie to eliminate the need for real Jaeger pilots. But each one of those, spoilers, was controlled by a kaiju brain installed in the thing, and then those took over, sprouted all kinds of whatnot out of it whenever they took over the suits later on and corrupted them. So it's actually kind of similar in that manner. Both versions of the Roy Roy are called Roy Roy. Stop saying Roy Roy. I hate you all.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
From 30-minute missions, there's a little robot-y guy that can replace the head and is like a control unit, so to speak. Moving on.
So, back to the mountains. They're approaching the Melag Mountain. Or at least that's what they think that's happening. And then he just sort of casually Moran just casually drops again. It's like, oh yeah, it's actually not really a mountain. It's more like a flying temple.
Just, because. Sorry.
Why should I tell you relevant information beforehand? It's more interesting if I tell it to you as it's happening.
Yeah, that's basically what it's come down to. By the way, this is what I'm talking about with the matte backgrounds that they painted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just gorgeous. But he does name drop the thing that they're looking at Tyone Peak. That's the name of the mountain range. We're going there. Why? Because it has strong updrafts. Why
do we need updrafts?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh yeah, we're gonna use the updrafts to get to the floating temple.
How are we gonna use it? You'll see.
Let's find out. It's okay. And I love that they're doing this thing with the outro. That there's just no credits.
There's no outro animation there.
Yeah.
They got too much stuff to show off outro animation.
And I'm okay with this. Like, give us actual more content. And it's actually a good song.
Yeah, Twinkle Star, I think is what it's called, or something like that.
Yeah, it's Twinkle. I made a mental note of that. I saw it in the things, but
so back at the Northern Temple, things are in ruins. And there's no shining sounds. Moran, Freddie, and Par. So Moran asked how much y'all weigh.
Yeah. Oh, hanging.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Plus, also that makes me think of that scene in the Tim Burton Batman movie. How much do you weigh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like this. So when they get to the thing and you actually see through somebody's HUD, presumably Hiroto's, but that's pretty cool. I almost tried to mask off all of the HUD stuff to put over the thumbnail, but it just too much. I just couldn't pull it off. Especially considering it's semi-translucent, would have been difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just get all kinds of neat information on screen there. I think that's pretty cool. So in theory, this is what they should see inside their little helmet they put on at all times. Like they're just seeing through the HUD of something. But now that we know that he kind of... At one point, do you notice that you're actually seeing through eyes versus the game, I'm just saying.
Let's see. So
also, this is getting way Pokemon. I just want to point that out. It's getting a bit Pokemon.
Like, how's this getting Pokemon?
Go find the sacred beast in the temple to the west. Go check out these other temples.
That's like any JRPG, my man.
It turned out to be like a big old phoenix. It's like, oh, it's named Ho-Oh. Oh, how about that? Either way, there's no shining sand.
Yeah, so they're looking around going, well, crap, this place is even more busted up than the other one. There's no sand here. We almost got ourselves killed like a few times over. What are we even doing with our lives? And then... Oh,
by the way, we forgot to point out the fact that they clearly show us Melag Mountain in the intro that's floating above the Aegis Knight. Because we even said, "What is that?" last week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've seen it. They very slyly have shown us things in the intro that they're revealing to us, which I like that.
So as Hiruto and Mei are talking about this, they suddenly get another battle notification and see that there's 3 enemy units coming up.
We're gonna fight them.
And Mei's like, okay, what's going on here? And I think it's Hiruto says like they're moving too slow to be reinforcements. And Mei's like, okay, so do we fight them? And he's like, no, let's just chill, see if they pass by. And so they hide behind big rocks and sort of peek out from the side and see, I think it's 2 Wyndhams and one of the hover tank Death Army variants.
Yep.
Which that one feels like it's some sort of command unit because I think it's the same one that we've seen in the past too.
Yep. Though you did skip something that's pretty important.
Did I?
Yeah. Well, you didn't skip it. You just didn't read it. Mei specifically says, "Should we attack first?"
Ah, right.
There's a reason that she used that wording. But yeah, continue.
And Hiruto remembers another part where they're fighting the One Eyes. And
earliest battles.
Yeah, and Mei makes a comment in that flashback about they must be deliberately missing. And Hero's like, oh, well, maybe it's just because this is like the start area, not a battle area.
Yep.
And so he has this thought, and it's obviously important. So he immediately tells Mei about it, and they have a meaningful conversation about it.
Yeah, I remember they had a conversation about it, and they did something very specific about it, and it was important to the plot, and that other people knew about it instantly. I remember that happening.
No, he keeps it to himself because, of course, he does.
She even asked him, "What were you thinking?" And he's like, "Nothing. Never mind."
Yeah, like Mei even outright calls him on this.
Important plot stuff. What? I mean, your tits are nice. What? I like the way you use your legs. Damn it! This is not happening. I'm so distracted by your digital beauty.
And so they wait, and they wait, and they wait. They start getting really nervous. They're reaching for their weapons.
Yep, she even reaches.
Mei's about ready to like just pull out her blasters and take them out.
Yep.
And we see the One Eyes sort of stop, kind of look at it, and then they change course and
drive away.
Yeah.
They just didn't do anything.
Which is
like they were on patrol and didn't find anything worth attacking, or didn't have to defend themselves. Because if you recall, the previous battle that we've seen in this episode, Hiruto attacked first. He fired the first shots, followed by Mei. They saw the enemy on the radar and started attacking them. And if you notice, in Hiruto's HUD, it even says it's scanning them and scanning the rifles and saying we're within range.
Yeah, that was the cool detail. It was like he says something because it says like opportune I thought I had it written down, but I must not. Yeah, it mentions
range. It's within range.
And considering that in some of the Gunpla games or Gundam games I've played, they have like little markings like that. I thought that was a neat little touch.
Yeah. And also we go back to the point that when the divers were first summoned after Freddy got the One Eyes to follow him back at the temple last episode, Freddy wasn't under attack at the temple. We even commented on that. He had plenty of time to go in there, summon the divers, pull up their gunpla, do all the other things, and they never attacked in that amount of time.
Mm.
So Carlos keeps saying that they're looking for something. Also, why would you attack something that you're programmed to be a part of and defend? The One Eyes are a part of the same system that created the divers in the first place.
Are we following the bad guys? Are we the bad guys? Are we the baddies?
Well, once again, if we already realized the fact, well, no, because we don't know what. There's no way that the One Eye just started randomly attacking the villagers because they attacked them. I mean, it's the first thought of a tiny little dog person who comes across a giant robot and to throw a rock at it or run away screaming. So for some reason,
throw rocks.
He did, but this is after already knowing what they were. And also, it wasn't until he yelled at them, the rocks clearly didn't hit him. For some reason, they turned around and attacked him or followed him.
They didn't turn around until he fell over.
Yeah, he fell over and grunted loudly. He dropped a very specific rock. But also, given that the temples are part of the same system that they are, they wouldn't attack it. It's entirely possible in the past.
I'm being told that we need to start wrapping things up because bedtime.
We're getting there. But they're part of the same system that is everything else. It's entirely possible in the past they came from these things. You know, if they're part of the same incarnation system, the same thing that created the gunpla and everything else, they wouldn't attack it outright. It's like a base to them, you know? And you got to think, for the most part, the One Eyes didn't even attack the resistance bases. The Seltsam did, who is controlled in a very different manner. We had a discussion about this in the Discord this week. Yeah, I like how the Discord just does whatever the frick they want. But yeah, the odds are that it's a friendly fire section. They're going to be missing the target they don't want to hit. So it makes sense. But either way. One Eye. Oh, wait, did I leave the oven on? No, because I'm on One Eye and I don't have an oven. But you had here, this is important to remember. I'm not going to say anything there. Oh, that was Hiruto's thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you made that note, like to me. That's why I had a hard time. Okay, so
no. So back to Milog.
Yeah.
And we finally see what was in the back of Muran's truck.
It's nothing important.
He's made a hot air balloon or giant lantern or something.
It's definitely a person lantern.
And he's like, so you guys are going to go meet the Sacred Beast. Have fun. And they're like, wait, what? The reaction is adorable.
Yeah, so you look around, you see more lanterns off to the side, definitely weighted bags, a canvas thing, some string, what definitely looks like gunpowder, and then like a tarp. Like, oh, he's so building a giant lantern. But yeah, you're right. I love that the reaction is precious. It's that. What? It's like basically he says that, look, you're gonna go up there, and you're gonna meet with Quadron, or how the heck you're supposed to say that name.
And this is probably why he wanted these two, because they're the smallest members of the team.
Exactly, the jackass. He's like, combined, you two probably weigh less than me. I need you to go. Plus, you're a build diver.
If Stola was there, he probably would have grabbed him too, because probably not that much weight difference.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the first end of the episode.
Yeah.
And then we get
Spanish guitar intensifies.
Yes, I forgot to.
And this scene is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
So we see Seltsam and One Eyes out in a burning field.
Yep.
Looks really cool. Animated beautifully. The coloring and stuff like that is amazing. But these One Eye suits, they're obviously Death Army variants, but something's off about their design, at least to me. And they look like they're not colored like the regular One Eyes. It could be the lights and stuff like that, but they look like they're. What's that?
It's just the lighting. I mean, One Eyes are gray, and this is gray covered in red and orange from fire nearby.
I don't know.
They're definitely different variants, but like they're the same. They're the same suits. There's nothing different about them. They even have the purple eyes, you know. But the fact that you see a slow motion, if you notice, it's actually animated very differently. Like the style is different. So like
because you see a close up of one of the Celtsam's feet as it is marching through it starts charging through the rice paddy field.
That's not the Celtsam leg. That's a one eye.
Oh, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. But I love it.
The One Eyes actually attack the Celtsam.
Yeah.
And he goes.
Hell breaks loose.
Yeah, he goes full on attack mode. Arm is all the way out. And all the weapons are deployed.
Yeah, and you see a whole bunch of purple blasts go in different directions from the smoke cloud, and then it zooms back in on this. And he's taking the heads off of all of the One Eyes nearby.
Yeah, and then stuff sprays out of them. Yeah. So remember what I said about fluid inside?
Yes. One, they're going for that old school, like, gory thing. Like, you take someone's head off, it becomes a geyser of blood. And then, but it's all in shadows here, which I thought was nuts. Which, by the way, this is the hidden image for this week, in case anybody didn't catch it. I'm putting hidden images in the thumbnails. So this was the hidden image. What?
He's got two things on his back.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So he's got his normal shield buster thing. That is not part of the regular Celtsam arm, I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't have the I picked up the Celtsam kit, but the box is buried right now.
Mine's not available either, sadly. No, I think that's part up near the shoulder. I think it's a big, yeah, it is. There's a big thing right up at the top of the shoulder. But yeah, he makes short work of all these One Eyes out of nowhere. They turned on him, which was crazy, which means he did something to bring on their destruction. Now, one thing you want to find out is that this is happening in a rice paddy. So this is at a village. You see him standing in the water with all the little sprigs coming out. Yeah, that's just the shoulder. It's just a weird angle of it. We know.
But after he decapitates them, we see him. He's shakily holding the controls. Yeah. And then he just lets out this loud scream.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it a scream of victory, frustration, pain? What the hell is going on here?
I think this was the real him coming through. And like the more he fights to get through, the worse it hurts. Also, the fact he's doing this remotely because he's not connected to his body anymore. Which is weird. Like, it's you got to wonder if he can ever actually return to his body. Because he's not even jacked.
If they can get him back in a GBN chair or something.
Maybe. Assuming that he's not just a permanent part of Alice's system. I don't know. But now it goes from that into the preview for next week. So we start out with seeing the hot air balloon, which is a very interesting shape. Flying up to the big clump of clouds with lightning and everything coming out of it, which is clearly...
Speaking of Miyazaki things.
Yeah, straight up Miyazaki. What's a floating temple? Which lightning comes out of it. I just didn't happen to catch that in the screenshot. It does a quick shot of something, but I didn't get a shot of it. It's fine. I think it's Kazumi riding on May. But then we see what I assume is the southern temple, judging by the trees and everything around it. And that doesn't look to be in any good a shape either. Like, that looks like the Gunpla summoning area, and it's trashed. Not to mention overgrown. And then we zoom in on Alice's eye that gets like bigger and bigger, which is crazy. But once again, pointing out the fact that that is basically the letter I in their language. Also, he's super sparkly up close. Which I thought was funny. And then next, we see the new Evil Core Gundam come in, flies in real quick, and then gets super close. And I love this shot that you see the Core 2 reflecting in its dome.
That is a neat little effect there.
Yeah, but of course this close-up shot looks like ass. That's why these are really fast-moving things. So you're not supposed to see how assy it looks. uh, and then it jumped to inside the temple. You see Mei, Moran, and Hiruto standing together. You can see the whole floor of that is covered in sparkly sand. But given the trees that you can see in the background, this might be the eastern or the southern temple. But it seems to make more sense that this is inside Mount Milag or Milag Mountain.
Which begs the question: how Mei and Hiruto are there? How did they make the trek all the way over there after their place turned out to be a dud?
Well, they had to. They did say they were going to go hit the other temples, and odds are, I mean, they're in the north to fly to Kazumi, but we see Kazumi being carried by Mei, like he's flying on Mei. I mean, it could be the core, but it looks like Mei. So they go and pick everybody up, and then they head there. And as far as we know, they have no communication devices unless they can use the GBN portals to communicate that way. But I think the more important scene here, or thing in the scene, is the throne behind them.
Yeah.
That, I'd have to go back to the image from last week, which I believe I deleted, so that might not do me any good. Let me look on my phone right quick. That looks very similar to what was behind the dragon when it woke up.
And now that I think about it, there's the big tall stone in the temple that Freddy goes to, where we started off at.
Yeah.
Could that be the remains of a throne like this? Like just basically the back part of the chair?
Maybe. But then it would be weird the way you have to touch it. Well, the dragon has a very similar type big stone behind it in the image. You know, you're not going to see it, but it could be it's definitely not that, but similar construction, of course. And he's surrounded by sand, but it's a very different looking temple. Like that's a very blue, green, dark temple. This one is very stone and everything else like that. So I guess it just depends on where they ended up. We'll find out. Wait, the screen's black. Why is the screen black? Oh, because I just closed it. I'm stupid. And then we see the Earth 3 Alice Gundam in all its glory. So we're already going to get that in episode 3, which is crazy. And you can see that it's got the purple bits all over it, very much like all the other gunpla. Did we see Alice collecting? Rerise season 2 episode 3, the King. Pulling Agent Smith. Could Alice return to real life in the body of Masaki? Probably not. The other thing is, if he came from a temple that was destroyed and then his body got taken out, like he would have to be able to punch back through the incarnation system properly. It just depends on how he was taken, I guess. A shield gun. Okay, so I'm reading previous comments. It's all good. But either way, that's the end of the episode. Finally, this was an intense one and a long.
Yeah, it really was.
Like it wasn't like last episode was a lot of flashback and stuff like that. Like legit, the whole episode was flashback, but it was not nearly as in depth. Less conversation, less plot driven, excluding all the stuff I figured out that made it way deeper. Next episode seems like it's going to be a lot of action, where this was a lot of doing. Yeah, we had to get our pieces to the right spot, and that always seemed to be a bit of a slog, but they found a way to do a lot with it, and I thought that was great. I think giving us that extra like 2.5 minutes of extra footage is making the difference. If they could skip the intro too and get us there, that would be great. But this was definitely a good one.
Very good episode.
Big reveals, big motivations from characters, things like that.
More world building.
I'm still bothered by the fact that 2 of our main characters that have had great development before have backslidden or backslided, however you want to say that. You know, Hiruto.
Backslid?
Yeah, backslid. So Hiruto not being a team player and sharing info that he's figuring out. But he tried with Moran sharing an actual insight, which was great. But then Parr also having that sense of doubt again, even though he was very big. But I guess it's also due to his connection to Morgiana. So we'll see what happens. I just hope they don't make anybody backstep a little bit so they get the same character development again. Give us the same line of development. Just let it continue forward. We don't need to keep stepping back into the same well over and over and over. You know, we already have to get through the, oh, we got to find new powers section of season 2, which is, it's going a little Sentai-ish in this manner. Like, oh no, our command center was destroyed. We got to build a new one. And, oh, we get some new powers from this sacred thing that's existed forever. It's the ninja season again. How the Gunplaverse works with Shoki and Rodimus. Yeah, I mean, I think of things very analytically, and I want to know. I want answers, and if I can find them, it works. No seed destiny patterns, please. No, let's not repeat things directly the next season over, or respond to fan backlash so badly that it ruins the entire series. It's a Gundam show, but it's also getting more mythical with everything that's going on. And it's something I said to you, like, okay, the first series explored identity and what it meant to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
This series is going a whole different direction while including that same message by bringing May along. And then also giving us the factor of, were these fake digital people that we began to care about? No, these are real people. This is all real. This is all happening. How? So now we're going to get the back series to that. And where this could go in the future, if they carry on with this idea, could be good. Because as I mentioned to you, if they went Stargate with this, like if this system they've discovered could be utilized to go elsewhere, find other planets that were set up by these creators that can now also be attached to GBN. What if it is happening to other people? Like, what if that's some of these side stories that, like, there's other people who've wandered into these mystery missions that are actually happening on real other worlds, but they go through the whole thing and never know it was just it was real. Like, what if that was the thing? Like, they could really branch out with this. But now I want to know about these creators. I want to know why they did this. What is their tie to GBN? How is their system somehow connected to a game on the other side of the galaxy, you know?
Yeah, because let's not forget that GBN is supposed to be a game.
Yeah. It's
a game, and that was like the big thing in the original Build Diver series was that GBN is this fun game and they want everybody to play it and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it would be interesting to see if somehow the creators of GBN, the creators, are those creators somehow but they made it to Earth or influenced the creation of GBN. Like, it's the Aeolia Schimbergs of that planet set it up so that the dialogues to come could happen. They're facilitating alien contact through this game they created. Why did I just hear knocking? Did I drop? Did anybody else hear that? Was that just me? Oh, that scared me a little.
Shoki's going crazy again.
I don't know if I dropped something or I don't know. It was a loud knocking, and there's nobody at the door. But either way, I think they could really, no pun intended, go places with this if they really explore this idea of who the creators were.
Because it could make for some interesting future seasons if they decide to stick with Build Divers for longer, and basically have the next season is when they go to another world or something.
Yeah, I mean, even if it isn't the same characters, if they just do it. I mean, like Stargate, or FG1 and Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe, stuff like that. Because imagine if the administration finds out about this in the same way that, the divers now know. Like, what could they use with that information? Especially if they deal with Alice and everything gets fixed. And instead of having to use these temples on the planet, they can use everything that's in the moon. Because it's a space base that can create anything it wants. If it has Jaburo dirt. If it has enough dirt, it can do whatever. And that's only assuming, oh, maybe it was that made the noise. Anyways, so if the moon was only one stage and there are things further out, like you keep pointing at, what if there's more space station? What if there's the radio connector that's linking to GBN is in a further out orbit? You know? So we need to get back into space to find these things out. So, I mean, there could be so much more to this, especially if they get Alice out of the way and they can access this system. And then imagine if it's connected to other planets over here. So you don't have to physically go to said planet. You know, you just download yourself there and poof, you magically appear on the other side of the galaxy. I mean, they could do a lot with this if they really want to. And they don't just have to keep it a kid's show about Gunpla. But imagine exploring other worlds like they would do in GBN, but they're really doing it, and they get to have their Gunpla too. Assuming they don't just try to use it to make merchandise on Earth to sell stuff. It's like, wait, is this how the Universal Century actually begins? They discovered how to create Gundams in real life on our own planet with Jaburo dirt. They use the dirt here. Is it interesting that their landscape looks almost exactly like Earth, and they're running into temples that look exactly like things built on Earth? You know.
Oh, I remember for a while we were thinking that this world was created by like either the original Build Divers or GBN as like some, and my thought was like as some sort of haven for the Eldivers or something.
Yeah, that's where we originally thought. And honestly, like if they could make that happen, but even if they did it on Earth, like so technically the Eldivers are Earthlings. They were created in a digital system on Earth. So if they are Earthlings, they have a concept of humanity, not anything else. So, and they're made from the feelings of people and Gunpla. So,
well, and also just imagine what they could do if they could figure out how to duplicate this technology on Earth.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. That's where I was eventually getting. That because I stopped to read. Sorry, but they if they were able to actually give the Eldivers real bodies that are functional and they could be humans, you know, on Earth. But we'd have to figure out what the special shiny sand is. I bet it exists on Earth somewhere. I bet it does. So we'll see what happens. Recall vacations. What? I wonder if this story will resolve in this season or there will be more seasons. I think they're going to do everything they can to resolve this story here, but I don't think it'll end here. I think that they literally could do more world building. Because, I mean, ultimately, what do these always end up being? They have to destroy the thing that allows them to be there to save everyone else, right? And then they can't get back. That's how these always go. And then they somehow get back. It's Monsters, Inc. You know, we got to destroy the doors. You know, or at least Boo's door, so to speak. So, I mean, if they don't go that route and destroy the thing that is allowing this to happen, and they use it as a, no pun intended, portal to explore other worlds, I think it'll be a better opportunity both for the anime and the characters within the world. So, yeah, that's the other thing Android is saying, that basically they destroy it to keep other people from getting there en masse, basically. I mean, maybe. I mean, we already know that only a limited number of people can come through at a time if they're going to the temples, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, I predicted, and this was a conversation I had with you, Shay, was that I could see there being a some sort of tearful goodbye thing for the last episode of the season or the series, where they're going to have to say goodbye to everybody on Eldora as they do something to basically cut off GBN from them, though with maybe a post-credit sequence showing that they can
I didn't even think about that. The Mike Wazowskis. The purple Mike Wazowskis. I want to see that crossover, guys.
Okay, well, I need to get going, my dude.
Okay. I just want to say that I think this season will end with them having to shut it down or thinking they have shut it down. And then I bet like it ends with Freddy standing next to them in GBN and be like, huh? You know, like
Yes.
Freddy comes through the portal with them by accident when they're not supposed to be. Like his exposure to the sand has allowed him to become a digital being, and he ends up in GBN, and they're like, shit, what do we do now?
And then the next series is them trying to figure out how to get him home, as well as protect him from things that are probably going to start happening in GBN, because suddenly something that maybe even more complex than an L-diver has popped up in the system or something.
The opposite of an L-diver.
Yeah.
Real living life form who's now become an electronic life form who now have to come back out in a gunpla human body. We're going to get a Freddy doll.
I would buy the hell out of a Freddy doll.
Now, I could see Kazumi staying behind with Maya.
Yes.
Weird.
I could see that being a thing.
Weird, but maybe. If he could get himself a doggy body, like maybe he can. Well,
I think that's the plan of what he's trying to do. He's trying to get himself some tail.
You went there after my comment earlier. You went there. However, he can alter his appearance if he can get back to GBN. He could make himself a furry and then go back permanently. And be like, just leave my body here until I die. Hook me up to some machines. I'll be fine. Basically. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for this week. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We had a lot of people. I think we had consistently like 24 people here like all night. That's second best stream ever. So, guys, we'll catch you next week. Of course, do the subscribe thing. Go subscribe to him. Link down below.
Please.
Check out the MS100 contest if you haven't. Also, down below. If you are new to the channel, do all the things. I don't care. It's fine. Tomorrow was supposed to be a Master Grade Monday unboxing. It might still be if I get it done early enough in the day. We'll see what happens. I have a new Master Grade, well, new to me Master Grade that I've wanted for a long time. We'll see what happens. But, of course, stick around. Go watch all the reviews that are coming up. And we'll see you later. Remember, as always, to keep on nerding, to keep on building, and
I'll see you the next time you invade my shelf space.
There we go. I also didn't technically finish my thing, but it's fine. We'll just leave it at that from now on. Goodbye. I fell off